football career. One is that I never played in the World Cup, and the other one is that Piers Morgan is an Arsenal supporter.
Well said.
24 hours later, Mo Salah took to social media, and we know that Salah is out of there very shortly. And he says, I've witnessed this club go from doubters to believers and from believers to champions. It took hard work, and I always did everything I could to help the club get there. Us crumbling to yet another defeat this season was very painful and not what our fans deserve. I want to see Liverpool go back to being the heavy metal attacking team that opponents fear and back to being a team that wins trophies. That's the football I know how to play, and that's the identity that needs to be recovered and kept for good. It can't be negotiable, and everyone that joins this club should adapt to it. Why is he doing that, do you think, Simon? I've heard this discussed in various other outlets, but let's do it ourselves. What's his motivation, do you think?
He doesn't get on very well with Arne Slot, I suspect. Doesn't agree with him. They've obviously had a fault. Nothing's changed. What do we think changed? There was no massive climb down from Salah for his outburst back in October, November, December of last year, was there? So there was only a papering over the cracks and managing of the situation. The player's leaving. He's out the door. He doesn't seemingly or apparently or evidently get on with the manager. So he's having his two-penneth. He's throwing his little two-penneth in. What I think was more concerning was the errant little bunch of despots that have thrown their two-penneth in behind him by liking his tweet, which are current players in the squad. He's a thing of the past. He's been a wonderful player for Liverpool. He's achieved wonderful things with Liverpool, and Liverpool have been wonderful for him. He's now gone.
Who are these little despots like Curtis Jones, liked the post with a hand clapping emoji? Dominic Szoboszlai also liked it on Instagram.
We can all make, do we really run our world by social media posts? I mean, some people would say that a president was elected as a result of social media, so you have to give it some credence. But the fact that these guys have liked it, whilst I don't sit there looking around to see who likes things, there is an element of, was that really necessary? He's entitled to have his view. He's out the door. There's no casualties for him, besides perhaps leaving a mark on Arne Slot because he doesn't particularly like him and doesn't enjoy playing for him and doesn't respect him. Because clearly he doesn't respect him because he said the things he said.
Sports update, powered by the Nissan Van range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
With your headlines, at 4 minutes past 10, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Bukayo Saka, Declan Rice and Jurrien Timber were all still up taking selfies with fans at 5 a.m. as the Gunners painted London bright red.
I thought if we don't win it this year, I ain't going to win it again in my lifetime. I know we are, Arteta's the man. They've done it. Unbelievable. I love them, man. And I love Bournemouth. Bournemouth, my second team now.
Premier League champions again after 22 years. Former Arsenal midfielder Adrian Clarke responded to critics who say it's been a poor season.
It's never been easier to lose a Premier League game. Teams right down the league now are more than capable of beating any team. You can slip up every week because the depth of quality is much, much higher now.
Well, City's slip-up at the Vitality handed Arsenal the title in the end. Is Andoni Iraola regretting his decision to leave Bournemouth, now guaranteed Europa League? Champions League is still possible for the Cherries. Meanwhile, Jamie O'Hara's convinced Spurs are heading down.
The only time that we looked like doing anything was when James Maddison had the ball. He's been out for 9 months. He's had ACL. He's been out for 9 months. And we're begging James Maddison to come on the pitch and make something happen. What about the other players?
Spurs' defeat at Stamford Bridge takes their relegation battle into the final day, and we're told Southampton's players could even sue their own club over Spygate. Here's sports lawyer Alistair Campbell.
As I understand it, the players are pretty furious. I mean, one has to bear in mind that if they were suing the club, they'd be suing their employer. So that might have an impact on the appetite to do it.
Saints are appealing the EFL's decision to kick them out of the playoffs for spying. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Sick notes could be scrapped to try and bring down the number of people signed off work, and the UK can buy diesel and jet fuel made from Russian crude oil again. More with Emma at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. The tyre transfer window is hotting up, and we've signed a multi-generational talent with Continental Tyres. Visit quickfit.com and book today.
The cloud is clearing, brighter spells developing this afternoon, especially in the south, feeling a bit warmer as well.
It's Danny Tyre! Wig, not wig.
It's a nutty canister, either way. I mean, look at the nut on it.
Bob Odenkirk! Saul was great. He was just a breath of fresh air. Amelia Clark! Star Wars versus Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, definitely. I'm loyal.
Don't help Alex Hassel!
In season 2, a lot of us get our clothes off.
You do know you did that in season 1.
Exactly, that's true, yeah.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT. So after a 22-year wait, Arsenal are champions. Mission accomplished? Is it vindication at last for Arteta? Meanwhile, Southampton thrown out of the playoffs for Spygate, with Middlesbrough reinstated for the final. A brave decision or a scandalous one? Also today, who will hold their nerve on the final day, Spurs or West Ham? Is Pep preparing for his Etihad goodbye or not? The fallout to Celtic's title win continues. Hearts shareholder Tony Bloom joins us later on. And can Aston Villa create their own Istanbul history tonight? Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy. We are live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
Well, it's all going on, is it not? And we are busy boys. Danny Murphy, good morning. Just back from Match of the Day studio in Manchester. When did you get in?
Very no rest for the wicked, what they say, isn't it?
Yes.
Half 3-ish, 4-ish, something like that.
Crazy.
Wouldn't want to miss the show with you two, though, would I?
No.
Crack on.
And you mean that? Because, Danny, you become a big part of this show, especially on a Wednesday, which is your day. I got home about 1:30 a.m. after being down on the pitch at the Amex at Brighton last night. Simon, 125 years of Brighton and Hove Albion Football Club.
How wonderful.
They were celebrating like crazy. 2,000 people there last night. Well done, Tony Bloom, Paul Barber, for what you put together there and all the technical people involved in that. It was quite a night. I shall be bringing you more from that later on this morning. And you were at Chelsea, Tottenham Hotspur, were you not?
Indeed I was, yes.
How was that little...
I'll get that 9 minutes back.
How was that experience?
Not a great game.
No.
But interesting. Interesting conversation with the owner. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't think Maresca's going to have quite the plain sailing that he thinks he's going to have into Man City's dugout.
All right. Well, we shall find out a little bit more about, or whatever you're prepared to tell us later on this morning when we get to that. But Tony Bloom, his heart goes out to the Hearts fans, and you're going to be hearing from him. But last night he was wearing the Brighton colours, and why wouldn't he? Because, my God, it was their night last night. And what a night, topped off at the end of it all by Fatboy Slim on stage.
Oh, Norman Cook.
Oh, he was magnificent, yes. Simon.
Yeah.
A big listener to this show as well, he tells me, so I was delighted about that.
Used to be the sponsor of Brighton, didn't he? When they had the moniker on their skirt, which I think was on the shirt was most fitting, called Skint, wasn't it?
Well, I tell you what, he was something to behold last night. He got everybody on their feet, and it was a phenomenal night. Thanks to everybody who was there. I just want to do a shout out for my new best friends, Paul Williams and his son Finn, who make the trip from Colwyn Bay, home and away with Brighton, and you guys were there last night in the Amex. Well done. It was a joy to meet you both.
Good day out, Colwyn Bay, Jim.
Colwyn Bay?
Yeah, not far from I used to go there for days out on the train when I was a kid.
Excellent. Danny, thank you for that.
Yeah, pleasure.
After a 22-year wait, Arsenal are Premier League champions. It was a night, as you might imagine, of celebration in that part of North London. Now, if you're watching on YouTube this morning, then Arsenal fans, feast your eyes on this, because this was you lot absolutely loving the moment. Manchester City, of course, drew at Bournemouth, meaning Arsenal were champions with a game to go. Have a look at that. They flocked into the streets, and then the Arsenal players celebrated together at the training ground, because the job was done and the title was theirs after 22 long years. Mission accomplished? Is it vindication at last for Mikel Arteta? Well, we shall see. We shall see what kind of feeling comes through on that one. What do you think, Simon? What's your immediate answer to that? Mission, is it vindication at last for Arteta?
Well, it's validation. Absolutely. He's been given 7 years and a huge amount of support, and he's achieved the outcome. They finished second 3 times in a row. They've won the league, and they've done the job that a lot of people think they could have done in previous seasons. He's now done it. So, of course, it's validation. Of course, it's a reinforcement of what people perceive is Arsenal as an elite football club, re-establishing itself back amongst the elite and winning a Premier League. So it's fantastic for Mikel Arteta.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, there has to be admiration. They've done it in a way that not everybody likes, but they're the best defensive team in Europe, statistically and on the eye. They've not lost a game in the Champions League. They've been the best team in the Premier League.
Yeah.
They're brilliant at set plays, which should be applauded, not criticised. Their work ethic, their determination, the manager's ability to make sure that everyone stays on track in terms of their work off the ball in itself is difficult enough with the egos you have to manage, and I think they deserve it. They have got a great squad, and he has been backed, but we've seen many times, haven't we, over the years, that spending billions of pounds doesn't always guarantee success.
Yeah.
So he definitely deserves credit, and it actually, in a way, gives them real freedom in the Champions League final, because I felt that if they hadn't won the league and then they were going into that game against PSG, the pressure might have been a bit too much and, maybe affected their performance.
Sure.
Now, in a way, it's kind of, I wouldn't say a free hit, but they can enjoy it.
So for Arteta, is it vindication? Simon chooses validation. 7 years ago, a young, fresh Mikel Arteta walked into the club.
The first thing is a little bit to change the energy. I feel last week I was here with Manchester City, and I was a little bit down after the game when I felt what was going on. So we have to try to engage everybody. I have to try to convince the players what I want to do, how I want to do it. They have to start accepting a different process, a different way of thinking, and I want to get all the staff and everybody at the club with the same mindsets. We have to build a culture that has to sustain the rest. If we don't have the right culture, the difficult moments, the tree is going to shake. So my job is to convince everybody this is how we're going to live. And if you are going to be part of this organization, it has to be in these terms and in this way.
So even then, he knew what he wanted, Simon. That was a young, fresh-faced Mikel Arteta. But have we watched this fella and the group mature in real time?
Of course. Because if you don't learn lessons, and then you never evolve. I mean, he's been given a lot of latitude. And that latitude has now borne out its fruit, because Arsenal have won the Premier League. So the ends justify the means. In many different situations, in many different clubs, they would have operated in a different way.
You mean jumped and got rid?
Yeah, I mean, he's been given 7 years. And of course, during that 7 years, what he's done is incremental progress. And there's a little bit of flatlining. I mean, I wrote an article in 2023 saying that they had to spend £250 million to stand still after that first season where they finished second and they blew it themselves. And they did spend £250 million to stand still because they finished second each season. But you've seen the evolution of his thinking. You've seen the evolution of the manner in which it interacts with the media. You've seen the style of play change.
Yeah.
But you've also seen them become more competitive in Europe at the same time. Because people turn around and say you can't have both. If you're going to do well in the league, you might find yourself being compromised in the Champions League. But they've gone deeper in the Champions League than perhaps some of their predecessors, notably Arsene Wenger, did for significant periods of his time during his tenure. So he's won on most fronts. So you have to give him all of the plaudits that this achievement deserves, because the end has justified the means.
What was the defining moment, Danny? Did the signing of Declan Rice appear on that particular list, if you're looking at what really clinched it?
Well, he's been a big factor, but he's been there a little while where they haven't got over the line. So I actually thought this season, the defeat at Arsenal kind of Man City set them free a little bit, because then they became the chaser, and it was a bit like, nothing to lose, let's go. And they went again. Although they weren't brilliant, it still gave them a new focus and a new impetus.
Well, some thought they'd bottle it after that.
They did, because they've done it before. But I think Arteta deserves... When you look at the numbers, which I was looking at last night for the last 4 seasons, the 3 seconds and then the win, this is their most pragmatic season. They've been more... they've scored more goals in previous seasons. They've been more expansive, let's say, better to watch. And he made a conscious choice this season of becoming even more resilient and more difficult to play against.
Yeah.
And that is a brave decision, side, because if it didn't go well,
it can be castigated.
Yeah.
I mean, success in football has an irony because it's often an orphan. It's attributed to one person, and failure has many fathers. In this instance, success has many fathers because I think you can take it back to the decision to break up the dressing room, to get rid of Aubameyang, and to be supported in doing that. For Kroenke to have the penny drop and bring his son into it, so there's day-to-day interaction between the ownership model and their change of direction from being people that were prepared to invest very little to people that are prepared to give the first-team manager the tools to go up against the opposition. So I think all of these things on the way bring out this end results.
Yeah.
And his incremental successes of stabilising Arsenal as a top 4 side, competing in Europe, the revenue streams coming back into Arsenal that had been eluded from them for 2 or 3 years were there. So that's the reasons why he was given the patience. And here's the end result.
Well, just 5 years ago, Arsenal fans were protesting against Silent Stan and his ownership, while Spotify founder Daniel Ek was flirting with the idea of buying the football club. And now we've got to this. We'll look at the ownership very shortly with Simon, of course we will. But Arsenal fans listening this morning, and judging by the messages that are coming in, you're listening in big, big numbers. After a 22-year wait, Arsenal are Premier League champions. Simple enough. What does that mean to you? 03717 223344. As we alluded to yesterday, Southampton are likely to face a sporting sanction if they're found guilty of spying charges. As a result, they could end up being thrown out of the playoff final to be replaced in that final by Middlesbrough instead, the team that they put out last night at the semi-final second leg stage. We said we'd look into this more thoroughly from a financial, legal expert point of view, and the very man who fits that bill is sitting to my right. Stefan Borsten joins us live in studio. And Stefan, good morning to you.
Hi.
We'll get into how this may or may not play out in the courts. Is there a precedent, Stefan, for chucking a team out of the playoffs?
Well, it happened to Swindon, but it was different. Well, not in terms of the playoffs, but in terms of sort of annulling the promotion. But it was a different situation. I mean, there's no situation where you've had it all come to a head within this small window around the playoffs. In terms of spying / espionage, there's really very few cases anywhere in football in respect of this. So you've got the Leeds situation that we know about, where it was systematic. They ended up with a £200,000 fine. And effectively, the other part of the sanction was to vote in favour of the rule that then came in. This rule that we're now talking about in terms of the 72-hour rule. That was part of the agreement on that. So that brought the rule in. The only other case is actually from the from the Olympics with Canada's women's team, and FIFA in 2024 docked them 6 points.
It's Danny Tyler! Wig, not wig.
It's a nutty canister, either way. I mean, look at the nut on it.
Bob Odenkirk!
Saul was great. He was just a breath of fresh air.
Amelia Clark! Star Wars versus Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, definitely.
Go.
I'm loyal.
Don't tell Alex Hassel!
In season 2, a lot of us get our clothes off.
You do know you did that in season 1?
Exactly, that's true, yes.
Good morning, everybody. Wednesday, May the 20th, the morning after the night before, and the night before, Arsenal became Premier League champions for the first time in 22 long years. Arsenal fans, get ready to give us a call. 03717 223344. What does it mean to you that your boys, your club, has lifted this title at last? A lot to get through this morning. It was back in 2021. Arsenal lost their first 3 games of the season, bottom of the table, and the fans were calling for Arteta to be sacked. This was Josh Kroenke in conversation with Arteta at the time on the Amazon All or Nothing documentary.
How are you?
Yeah, it's good.
We need some stability. We don't need any of this. I was annoyed that there were so many people trying to fracture the group, you know?
You have experienced that a lot.
The only guys you can trust are the ones in the room with you. That's all I know.
That word is very rare to find. Yeah?
Very much. Very much. But onward we go. Yeah. Part of my job is to be aware of certain narratives that are out there. That doesn't mean I believe them or actually pay attention to them, but I must be aware of what's being said. But, you know, I think that our main motto is tune out the noise, keep our heads down, and have each other's backs. At times, everybody needs to have an arm around their shoulder.
And that's what they gave Mikel Arteta. How many boardrooms, Simon, would do exactly what Kroenke and the ownership did and stuck to their guns?
Most of them would try, but managers have to give you a reason. It's not just a case of blind support, and most owners will want to support their manager because if their manager fails, then they fail too, and it costs them money, and making decisions to remove people from jobs isn't something that's done with great glee. I mean, sometimes it's, you know, deserved and you take some satisfaction from it, as I did at times, but the reality of it is that most of the time you're sitting there going, this is a problem for me. So if you can find a way, and I always tried to find a way to ensure that the manager was supported, given an opportunity to deliver outcomes, try to find the reasons why things aren't going the way you think they should go. And if there's a real belief in the fact that the manager is going to get there, it's incumbent upon people that make these appointments to keep on buying into the vision, seeing the direction of travel, seeing the reasons why people aren't able to, at this moment in time, or instantaneously give you the outcomes, but believing that there's a distinct possibility that they will. Now, I learned nothing from that interview because that's cameras on them. They're talking to one another in full view of the cameras. So there's always that element of you're saying things knowing that people are going to listen to them. But I think it's a key component. I think the change of ownership perspective was a wonderful coincidence in timing for Arteta. He was the beneficiary of wonderful timing. And in life, people talk about luck and they talk about skill. Timing is a huge part of anything in life. And the fact that Arsenal suddenly decided, post-COVID, post Stefan Eck being interested in paying $2 billion for the football club, that somehow one another, Arsenal decided that in order to be a valuable football club again, it wasn't appropriate for the Kroenkes to look at it as some sort of arm's length subsidiary of an American business.
Yeah.
And that's what they've done. And so Arteta, alongside meriting it, I might add, has been given the support that perhaps Emery and perhaps certainly Arsene Wenger didn't get, because Arsene Wenger had a different dynamic, which was how do we fund the stadium? How do we organically support the football club without being able to go toe-to-toe with these new phenomenons like Chelsea and like Man City that had new money?
At 10:25, we've got to take our first Arsenal caller. There are so many of you. Good morning, Lloyd, big Arsenal fan. 22 years on, Lloyd. You're champions. What does it mean to you?
Everything. Absolutely everything. The scenes were amazing. I was at the stadium last night, and it just seemed like everyone decided on themselves, let's just go down. It was so random, unplanned. It was one of the best scenes I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. It was just utterly insane and intense. Beautiful.
Terrific. Had you been doubtful that you would get over that line, Lloyd?
There were moments throughout the season, yes, but the fact that City weren't as strong as they normally are made me believe that they weren't going to win every game. And as long as Arsenal were still close, we would have a great chance. And it seems to me that City kind of really bottled it themselves with Everton and Bournemouth, which is unlike them. Like, those are games that you would have said they would have got over the line on. So I was surprised by them slipping up there.
Yeah. So you've used the bottle word with City. I like what you did there. Lloyd, thank you very much. Steve's a big Arsenal fan. Good morning, Steve. Where's your head with it all?
Good morning, chaps. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of them. I'm still absolutely buzzing from last night, you know. That I don't think it's really quite set in yet. With Premier League champions, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, did you doubt it? Were you that day that Bournemouth came to Arsenal and won? Did you leave thinking, don't like this?
I mean, there's defining moments in the season, and that was one of those moments where you think to yourself, are we going to get it over the line? And I mean, the one that really was the moment for me was the game at the Etihad against City. And after that game, there's a lot of talk, you know, Arsenal's bottled it again, second again, LA. But we haven't finished second, we're finishing top.
Brilliant. Steve, thank you. Nick, we'll squeeze you in before the break at 10:30. Good morning. Big Arsenal fan. What's it mean to you, mate, that your club did it?
Oh, gents, what an incredible night. Like the previous callers, I was up there last night with my son. At 8:30, I was sitting home in Chelmsford having dinner. All of a sudden, they've scored, and I've said to my son, let's get together, let's go up there, let's just go out and enjoy it. Knew there was going to be a big crowd up there. And you know what, guys? After 10, 15 years of dominance by clubs that have cheated, and let's be honest, they cheated and they admitted it, or one of them did. There's three big clubs in this country: Arsenal, Liverpool, Man U. They're the teams that win things, win them legitimately. They've got the history, they've got the legacy, they've got all that tradition behind them. They've actually proven themselves last night by going out there, winning it, and winning it legitimately.
Yeah, I mean, you say legitimately. I mean, Manchester City still deny any wrongdoing, of course, and we always have to emphasise that, Nate. How long did it take you to get from Chelmsford to the stadium?
Took me about an hour. It wasn't too bad, so we got there about 10 o'clock-ish. Yeah, and the atmosphere was absolutely incredible. It was absolutely. Speaking to a few of the police officers there, they'd actually had a bit of a hectic night because that was over at the Chelsea game. And they was quickly shifted over to come over to North London and help out over there because there was, I'd say, it must have been 500,000 people there. It was incredible.
What time did it crack on till?
Oh, there was still. We left there about 12:30, and it was getting busier. So when the players were there, I'm surprised there wasn't as many fans there when the players were there at 5 a.m. But there was probably quite a few still with a hangover, sleeping on stairs and stuff, and in doorways around there. I would have thought.
How old is your boy?
14.
14. Oh, so
if you give him the day off school.
Yeah.
No comment.
Brilliant, Nick. Well done for the effort you made last night. We'll take a break. Obviously, this part of the show, the day, the time belongs to Arsenal and their fans. Why not? You want to give us a call? Then join in 03717 223344.
much credit does Bruno Fernandes deserve? You're not a fan of this assist thing, are you? Now that he's equal Thierry Henry's record.
Well, no, I mean, Thierry got 20 assists and 24 goals.
We're just talking about assists.
No, but altogether, my thing with this, right, is fair play to him. He's equalled a very good record, and I've got no issue with that whatsoever. I'd like to see a little bit more emphasis on goals rather than a few goals and a whole load of assists.
I mean, not his job to score goals, but I hear you.
De Bruyne's got the same record, and 13 goals.
Yeah, he's got 8.
So there's
we might score 6.
Numbers work, right?
Oh, using my lines, you've learned very well. High five there, yeah, good work, man.
But no, yeah, listen, what he's done in a bad Manchester United period is phenomenal. Certainly this season with the assists, and it was funny because watching the game, there's so many times he could have shot and he opted to pass it because he's obviously desperate for his record.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I get it, but I can't remember when all of a sudden goals and assists became a thing. Certainly when I was playing in the Premier League, it was all about, if you're a striker, goals. And then if you're a creative midfield player, how many assists he got. All of a sudden now, and I think some players are getting away with it, with this goals and assists, because ultimately the name of the game is still to put the ball in the back of the net. But you're seeing some guys, they've got 17 goals and assists and they're forward. You go, well, how many goals they got? Well, they got, 4 goals and 13 assists. You're like, well, that's not any good.
Terrible, yeah.
That's terrible. Because they're putting our goals and assists together.
You're all right.
It's almost overshadowing everything.
Do you care about any stats? Like, you're a fan of XG. There's another one called XA.
Yeah.
Do you know what XA is?
Assists. Expected assists.
It's expected assist. Now, I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know. I know about XG, but listen, I like XG, but I don't...
You can't explain it.
The only stats that I really...
care about?
Goals. I think assists to a certain level.
Clean sheets?
Yeah, I love touches in opposition box because I think that tells you a lot about how a team's attacking. Because and I always like to compare the XG with touches inside the opposition box.
Always, you always like to do that.
Yeah, because if you're a team in certain games, you're getting 40 touches in the opposition box and there's no goals. What's going on?
What a morning this is. As if the Arsenal story isn't enough. After a 22-year wait, they are Premier League champions. We're going to bring you more of an update very shortly on Spygate. Of course, the situation regarding Southampton, who were banished from playing in the Championship playoff final this weekend, this Saturday, at Wembley. An update of sorts, actually, at this stage, because we're hearing from the EFL that Saturday's Sky Bet Championship playoff final between Hull City and Middlesbrough will kick off at 3:30. Should the outcome of the ongoing appeal process result in the final being contested by Hull City and Southampton, the kick-off for that fixture will remain at 4:30 in the afternoon. You ever heard anything like this, Simon?
God only knows. I mean, they must have, going on to that subject, which we'll do, I suspect, in isolation, but they must have argued some case to the EFL, because despite the fact it's an independent commission and the EFL will say, well, it's not us, it's the independent commission that did this, they must have argued some case to get an expulsion, and they must have put an expulsion on the table and argued it very robustly to have got this outcome.
Yeah, well, I mean, the long and the short of that is the Championship playoff final does go ahead at Wembley this Saturday. It is remarkable. I've been hearing from a senior source at Southampton. I'll bring you some details of that this morning. But the appeal process is underway, and it's a developing story. Southampton's still very hopeful that, in spite of what's going on at Spygate, something they have owned up to, they've admitted it, that they will contest that final against Hull City. Middlesbrough wait in the wings, ready to head to Wembley at the end of the week. Should it be them who Southampton put out, who goes to the final to take on Hull City? It is quite remarkable, isn't it? You ever heard anything like this, Danny?
I'm absolutely gobsmacked, actually. I feel it's disproportionate. I feel for the players more than anything.
Yeah.
Because those Southampton players, for God knows how many months at the end of the season, have put in such a stint and grafted so much, and they're being punished. The reality is, yes, it's wrong. Yes, it's cheating, breaking the rules. I get all that. But the impact of it, I'm telling you now, is minimal. The performance, the ones they've admitted they lost the games anyway. The first leg, Middlesbrough absolutely battered them. You know, I don't know where you can, I don't know, it seems there should be a punishment of some sorts, but not expulsion.
Okay, well, I mean, the feeling, obviously, at Southampton, a senior source was telling me the feeling is that the sanction is totally disproportionate, but it's a delicate moment because the process, the appeal process is underway. It's Arsenal's morning, it's Arsenal's day, it's Arsenal's time. After a 22-year wait, they are Premier League champions. Billy's a big Arsenal fan. Billy, good morning. What does it mean to you, mate?
Morning, lads. Love the show.
Thank you.
Literally on cloud nine. I don't think people realise how big this title is. Arteta didn't just win the title; he rebuilt the football club. Just on cloud nine, unbelievable.
Brilliant. Good to hear from you. What did he inherit, Billy? Do you think when he went in?
Well, he sort of put down his marks, said this is how it's going to be run. He sort of took ownership, took the sort of club, grabbed it with both hands and said, right, this is how I'm going to do it, my way. And
the highway, right, yeah.
Yeah, it was a process. It has been a long time coming. But now he's done it. Now we've just got to push on and that's it. Budapest, here we come.
Billy, thank you very much indeed. Lee, big Arsenal fan, good morning. Tell me about it, Lee. What are you thinking?
Oh, morning, chaps. What a fantastic result last night. Just... Honestly, 22 years we've waited. Nothing but aggro from the lads in group chats and watching the media, rip us apart for the last 3 years, finishing second.
Yeah.
I think, for Arteta to deliver the league is fantastic. It just proves all the doubters wrong. And I just hope next season that the media puts a little bit of respect on what he has done for the club. 7 years to build it from where we was to where we are now. It's just remarkable.
Could this be a little spell of dominance for you guys? Because I'm looking at the other teams who are trying to compete with you. United is still on the way up. Liverpool have fallen off a cliff. City look like they could have a new manager. That could be difficult. You've got Chelsea who are all over the place. It's a wonderful opportunity to have a couple of years of maybe back-to-back.
Danny, I'll be honest with you. This season, I have said all along we would win the league. If Pep goes, I would back us to win the league for the next 5 years.
Oh, wow. Lee.
I would back us there. 5 years running, we'll win the Premier League.
Lee, I've got to tell you, the man to my left, Mr. Jordan, is rolling his eyes. You're not having that.
No, and neither does anyone really want it besides Arsenal fans. Nobody wants a monopoly of the league. I don't see that. But what's going to be fascinating...
Maybe 2 or 3.
Maybe. I mean, look, you've got to see... You've got a re-emergence of Manchester City under new management. That's what's going to happen next. Liverpool will be better. Look, Arsenal, enjoy the moment. Get ahead of yourself talking about winning the next 5 years. Fantastic. That's what fans do.
Yeah, fair enough, Lee.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I did ask him to be.
Lee, you may as well keep listening because from 12 noon onwards, we have a special Arsenal guest going to be in our midst. He's made a point of coming from his
Does that mean I go home early?
this morning.
Can I
No,
go?
three becomes 4. You're staying, Danny. Anyone who may think they're having a guess that it might be an Arsenal invincible, you might not be far off that. Have Arsenal, Simon, been the most discredited champions in recent history?
I think there's been some unfortunate observations. I think there's been some ridiculous assertions made. I think I keep on using the same example of Pardew trotting out that absolute tripe about the idea that they should have an asterisk put against their name because he doesn't like the way that they play. So I think there has been some observations. They have a fan base that's quite noisy. They have a fan TV, which I think is just vile. And they have groups of supporters that somehow, sort of bring out a reaction in people that they don't want Arsenal to win. I always wanted Arsenal to win the league. I wanted Arsenal to be successful this season. They were a London football club. I want it back down south. But I'm not entirely sure that they've been given, huge amounts of unprecedented criticism. He has finished second 3 times in a row. It's not an unfair observation to say, are you a bridesmaid? Are you actually going to win? You're being given £250 million a year to build a side. You're being given an enormous amount of time to be able to achieve it. And people are making observations that I think are relatively fair with a few exceptions.
To be honest,
will they be given their due now, Danny?
By those who know football, yeah. I mean, as I said before, being able to play that way and do it so successfully and be so good defensively is a what's the word? No, I've forgotten the word. It's a quality.
Yeah.
It's a quality in itself. Everyone wants to see this attacking football. And actually what they do is damn hard to do. And the reality is, discrediting champions has gone on forever. When Leicester won, it's because everyone else had fallen off a cliff.
Yes.
When Liverpool won it last year, it's Klopp's team and nobody else was at it.
Right.
They cantered. They won it at a canter because nobody else was playing.
It's
well.
not other people's jobs. I mean, this is why I pushed back against all these ridiculous celebrations last year for Newcastle winning the League Cup. It's not other people's jobs to celebrate the achievements of another team. And when you see and hear things, we heard last year Arteta talking about getting knocked out of a League Cup because the balls were different. We heard Arteta last year say that the referees were the worst in Europe, and now all of a sudden he's had an epiphany, and actually refereeing is a very difficult job. So all of these things build out a pushback from certain sections of the media. Yeah, there are some people in the media that are biased towards one particular football club.
Yeah.
And we have them in the studio. Martin can't see anything other than Arsenal. You listen to Ian Wright or these other guys, or listen to Jamie Carragher at times. He can be very lacking impartiality. Yeah. That's the nature of the way that pundits operate now. But I think this idea, it suits Arsenal fans to believe that they can have a persecution complex because everybody was against them. And if that's the way that's got them through, then that's the way that's got them through.
I met Jimmy Carragher on the platform of Liverpool Lime Street the other day.
Did you?
Who was asking kindly for you.
Yep,
and congratulated on our winning our latest award. Hassan, big Arsenal fan. What does it mean to you, Hassan, after 22 years, mate? Good morning.
Oh, terrific. First of all, Jim, favourite broadcaster, favourite show, favourite time of the day. Love you from your Sky Sports days, deadline day, getting them all off and coming on with your harem on deadline day with your yellow tie. Fantastic.
We found the one.
Hassan, leave your address, mate. The check's in the post.
Yeah, honestly, it's great to get a broadcaster's perspective and also an owner's perspective and also a player's perspective. So you mentioned about, Danny, I want to ask about the dominance factor. I remember a certain Thierry Henry said what Arsenal didn't manage to do in the Wenger days is take advantage of their dominance. The guy was trying to move us from a big club to a global club, like moving stadium, getting the money, balancing the books. If you wanted to do it the way that we do it now, you've got a Tottenham situation. They're probably about to go down, and I hope they do. The quad is on. I was born and brought up in Hull. They could go up this weekend, and we might win the Champions League. I'm not too bothered if we don't, because we're probably not favourites. So I'm a realist. I'm not your average, typical Arsenal fan, as Simon likes to put it. Just literally was saying a bit ago. But I take his point.
Yeah.
Most people that come on maybe a little bit fickle-minded. I'm 44 years old. I've been following Arsenal from the David Rocastle, Ian Wright, Kevin Campbell days, free players, black ethnic origin. I thought, oh, this is interesting. Fell in love with the club with the Bruce Banana kit. So for me, it's like, I get the taking advantage of the dominance. I think Arteta's bought this league in terms of the fact he's had the money, he's used it, he's spent it well, but you do not win a Premier League or any tournament without a brilliant goalkeeper. David Raya has been brilliant for 3 years. And he's Ballon d'Or material, if anyone is, if I'm being brutally honest, especially if you win the Champions League. It's difficult to win a Ballon d'Or as a keeper, but he's right up there. He should be getting it if he wants the Champions League. But in terms of the other thing I was going to mention about, I think, Jim, you always ask this question to fans, but you never get around to answering it yourself. And I want to not necessarily put you on the spot, but I want to just ask you, like, when you say, like, is Arteta better than Wenger? He's won a Premier League. He's just won it last night. Has he won anything else before? The FA Cup probably was circumstantial. Let's be honest. Lockdown, no crowds. But, given maybe the best opportunity to try and get some silverware and buy credit in the bank. But how he's gone on from there is remarkable.
Hassan, great call. Great call. Thank you for your kind comments about me. Wonderful, Hassan. Thank you very much indeed. They've done it. And now, are we talking about what would be a quite sensational double? Because they've got the Premier League title. Champions League is next. What's next for Southampton? A bit of nervous waiting. That is for sure. Spygate on the way.
Is this the most significant departure, you think, managerial departure in Premier League history? I mean, there are a few big ones.
Not really. No? I think it's it's the most significant departure for Manchester City. But I think in all the clubs, I think the Klopp impact upon Liverpool was remarkable in terms of galvanising the club back to its fans, back to the levels of achievement, to a brand of football that ignited and excited most people. And Klopp walked out and decided that he'd had enough and left Arne Slot with a wonderful squad that are able to win the Premier League next year, or the following year, sorry. You've seen Ferguson leave, after 26 years. I don't think his legacy, I think his achievements are remarkable, but I think the squad that he left, it does not compare to the squad that Klopp left Liverpool, and does not compare to the squad that Guardiola is leaving Maresca. And Maresca is indeed a lucky boy. He wouldn't be in this job if he hadn't been in the building previously. I think probably all the lessons that he will have learned at Chelsea will be taken into the Man City job. And so his experiences, his maturity of being able to manage up might be slightly better now. But he's in a wonderful, blessed position that they are built. The last 2 years of a year of decline and a year of rebuilding have all culminated in the fact that they've done a double this year. I mean, I can't think of a more boring FA Cup final for some time, but notwithstanding it, they still won it. Right? And they've done a double this year. They won't do the treble. Arsenal will win the league, but notwithstanding that, they'll finish second. They'll have won 2 cups, and Maresca will walk into a group of players that are highly focused, highly motivated, and his opportunity is to prove the fact that he can continue. And I always believe, and I said it at the top of this show, that you judge a business when the people that own it are not in it. So you judge a football club by the legacy of the person that's been running it for a period of time. Klopp's legacy was to hand it over for a year to Arne Slot, who effectively just finessed it and won the league. Now the image of Liverpool is now Slot's, and it's not so great. Ferguson left a decaying squad, with due respect to Alex Ferguson. I'm not trying to diminish him in any shape or form. And that then created the problems that have then spiralled out of control for Man United over a 13-year period. So we'll see if Manchester City continue. I suspect they will. I suspect Maresca, I mean, the principles behind Maresca was, it's an open secret. He was discussing going to Manchester City with the Chelsea management, which is probably why there was a lot of angst and irritation between the two parties.
not a wig.
It's a nutty canister, either way. I mean, look at the nut on it.
Bob Odenkirk! Saul was great. He was just a breath of fresh air. Amelia Clark! Star Wars versus Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, definitely.
Go.
I'm loyal.
Don't tell Alex Hassel!
In season 2, a lot of us get our clothes off.
You do know you did that in season 1?
Exactly, that's true, yes.
Wednesday morning, Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy. We're live in talkSPORT, live on your TV as well. Whatever you want to watch this show, Samsung, Fire TV, Apple, even Prime Video, we're here for you, and you can watch us live from the studio on the 17th floor of the News Building at London Bridge. It is one of the craziest statements I think I've ever seen. EFL, a short time ago, Saturday Sky Bet Championship playoff final between Hull City and Middlesbrough will kick off at 3:30. Should the outcome of the ongoing appeal process result in the final being contested by Hull and Southampton, the kick-off time will be an hour later at 4:30. So how have we got to this? For those who don't know, I'll tell you. Southampton have been expelled from the Championship playoffs over the Spygate scandal. Middlesbrough have been reinstated and they will face Hull in the playoff final this Saturday. Or will they? Well, Southampton will also receive a 4-point deduction for next season's Championship season. According to the EFL, Southampton admitted multiple breaches relating to the unauthorised filming of their opponents' training and ahead of games. They include fixtures against Oxford in December, Ipswich in April, Middlesbrough in May, just recently. Southampton won none of these. The games Southampton spied on, as I say, they failed to win any. Southampton have the right to appeal. They're doing that. That is set to be heard today. The EFL has acknowledged that the appeal's outcome could result in a further change to Saturday's fixture, as I explained there, i.e. kick-off time, etc., etc. It's fair to say a lot of people at Southampton are somewhat hot under the collar. And when it really came to boiling point recently, when he got pushed about Spygate, the manager, Tonda Eckert, walked out of a news conference.
It's an ongoing investigation, and the club has made a statement. I know I don't like having to repeat myself, but just ask you to respect that, because that really is the only thing I can say at the moment.
Why are you not going to say now what you understand, or what you want to say down the line?
Because it's an ongoing investigation, and nothing that I say at the moment is going to make an impact on that. So. Because it's not easy for me. It's but it doesn't change. It's I would say something. It's just not the moment.
Are you a cheat? Thank you very much. Just show some respect. Just show some respect. That's all we ask. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, well done. Thank you.
And that was that. Eckert walked out. So accused of spying, and they've copped for it. They said, "Yeah, we did." So now, where does it go? Just before we came on air, a senior source at Southampton told me they're not giving up. They're still aiming to be reinstated to the Championship playoff final. The feeling is that the sanction's disproportionate. They admitted their mistake, as I said. They cite Leicester had broken PSR rules for a season, but they were still promoted to the Premier League. They received a points deduction for that. The source said that following the original hearing, the club had felt to some degree that it had lost faith in due process. And until we know the result of the appeal, the future of Eckert remains unclear. Maybe he carries on, maybe he doesn't.
He can't carry on if he's part of it. He can't, can he?
Simon, a brave decision, or is it a scandalous one? to kick them out.
I think it's a very strange decision. I mean, you have to have gone some way from Leeds being sanctioned in 2019 with £200,000 to expulsion from a game that's worth 250 million. That is some way to leap. There's always been good faith rules inside the EFL. So the fact they've adjusted the rules to be able to specifically cater for this sort of circumstances in terms of what Leeds did in 2019, but then move the dial to go from a circumstance that fined somebody £200,000 to somebody being booted out of a playoff final that could be worth 250 million. The EFL will, if you talk to Trevor or Rick, they'll probably say, listen, independent commissions, they make the decisions. You must have argued some case. The EFL must have put it on the table. Expulsion. So when Southampton are, getting very upset about it, which, by the way, they should do, because it is, in my view, disproportionate, but their own stupidity is something they should be sanctioned for. The fact that there is two different methodologies here. The playoffs are a knockout tournament. The league games are something different. So the rules and the dynamics had to be looked at differently. Do I think it's disproportionate? Of course I do. Am I surprised they've done it? I'm really surprised they've done it. And as I say,
it's a wrong decision in your view.
Well, it's difficult to find
kick them out the final.
What a consequence could be. There's no good having a consequence if it doesn't actually benefit the people that have been prejudiced. Now, as you quite rightly described, none of this scouting, which is systemic, it's a systemic situation, which is probably the reasons why the EFL hardened their positions, because they will sit there and go, it's not us. We're the EFL. We're here to be the regulator of the governance of the game. But the independent commission made this decision. But the independent made this decision based upon the submissions from the EFL. So the EFL must have been going after this very, very hard. And it's a strange phenomenon because you've got in the Premier League, the league that dominates all the attention, has all the money. This idea that things can be a little bit opaque and people can do deals and football clubs can breach and be shown to be cheating and can pay £10 million. But in the EFL, we're the league of the people. We won't have this. So what we'll do is we'll go to the extreme end of the equation and we'll take something that most people would say, that is extreme in terms of the adjudication. And yet they've done it. Now, as far as the appeal's concerned, given the fact that I could see no landscape and see the bar was too high for them to get over to expel them, it almost makes me feel that there could be a perverse decision in the appeal. But most of the time, appeals are successful when you're introducing new evidence. There is no new evidence to introduce. The only evidence that can be introduced into the equation is that your sanction is disproportionate.
Right.
That's not new evidence.
What do you think? Why would Southampton come forward with other examples of them doing it?
I would imagine that Southampton had no choice. I would imagine that Middlesbrough and those around Middlesbrough, and of course, once there's blood in the water, everyone wants to be able to feed on it. Will be out there going, we will have CCTV. It'll become evident to them that maybe they saw something, and they've got some video evidence. So I don't think Southampton copped to it. I don't think Southampton, played the good guy in this situation. They were banged to rights. They were banged to rights from the get-go.
But copping to it or admitting it can lead to a degree of mitigation.
Sure, but normally in a process where you're trying to fast-track something, if you are trying to suggest that that your financial affairs in PSR aren't as you think, but will mitigate Chelsea's mitigation for something that they were culpable for, to my mind, is very limited in terms of the qualification of being able to reduce the sanction. And in this instance, Southampton couldn't do anything else. It would have been absurd to suggest they didn't do it because everyone knows they did do it.
So both of you this morning are saying, hang on here, the punishment does not fit the crime. Kicking them out of the Championship playoff final.
It's an extreme punishment.
What punishment does fit the crime?
Well, that becomes the question, doesn't it? Because you've got a very different dynamic than what happened to Leeds, because Leeds was in a league game. The playoffs have
there were no hard and fast rules either.
Well, there are rules to sanction people, but the fact is that you're now in a unique position because you're not in a league, you're in a knockout tournament.
Yeah.
So there has to be different dynamics. So what would be the consequence? And there's no use in my mind. And as I said last week, which is why I suggested in the sort of throwaway observations about Middlesbrough doing a deal with Southampton to mitigate the fact that maybe they weren't going to get thrown out, and perhaps there's a little bit of opportunity to say to Southampton, pony up and we won't push so hard. Now, Stefan felt that wasn't a process that could be followed through.
Yeah.
But notwithstanding that, I would imagine if Middlesbrough and Southampton had gone to the EFL and said, look, we can clean this up ourselves, they might not have been so robust in the hearing.
The impact of the crime in everyday life is so crucial in the punishment. The impact of the crime you commit in every other aspect of criminality, or I know this isn't criminality, but they're breaking laws, the impact is minimal. This has gone on for years.
Yeah, I mean, the victim impact statement for this would be that they never won a game as a result of it, right? So when you talk about consequences, but what we're saying here now, and what the EFL have decided, is that and I find it curious, the integrity of the game has been so brutally compromised that they must expel this team from the biggest game, the most valuable game in world football.
So what's the conspiracy theory around that then?
I don't know. Is it a point of differentiation? We talk about the Premier League. We know. I mean, I said it to Iqbali last night because he had an observation about Southampton. I said, don't you start. You guys got away with murder about what you...
You told Bedad Iqbali.
I did.
Chelsea
You guys got away with murder. 10 million quid for your cheating, and you're having a comment about Southampton.
How did that go down?
Well, it went down
To
the
be
way
fair
it
to
went
him, it wasn't under his tenure, was it?
No, that's what he said. But the point
Let's
is
get
this.
to 11 o'clock Bills and finish it, Sam.
The idea that the EFL are constantly portraying themselves as a league that's different. We don't want VAR because we're the league that shows supporters what they want. I believe it's part of this. Look at the Premier League. Look at that league over there. Doesn't contribute the way it should do. Doesn't operate the way it should do. But we do. We clean house.
Right.
To expel Southampton from a playoff final for their own stupidity is very, very strong.
As it stands, Southampton have been thrown out of the playoff final, the Championship playoff final, the richest game in world football because of Spygate. What's your take on it? Southampton fans, is it a brave decision? Is it a scandalous one? You can give us a call. So can you, Middlesbrough fans. And Hull fans, we're at Wednesday and you still don't know who you're going to be playing on Saturday. 03717 223344 at 11 o'clock.
Let's talk about the big breaking news that broke last night. It's been something that everyone's been speaking about for the last 12 months, and that's that Pep Guardiola is set to leave Man City after 10 years at the job. Let's bring in our chief football correspondent, Ags Crook, to kind of open or shed a bit more light on this. Crookie, obviously, look, this is massive, massive news. It isn't a surprise as it is. We knew about it, but we didn't know when this was going to happen. Give us a bit more on it.
Yeah, I think it's the worst kept secret in football, has been for several weeks, if not months now. And that's why I'm slightly surprised, by all accounts, that Pep Guardiola has reacted quite furiously to the fact that this has been leaked 24 hours before a game that could decide Manchester City's title fate. I'll be at the Vitality tonight. If City don't win, it's Arsenal's title. If they do win, we go to the last day of the season and what is sure to be a very emotional final home game for Pep Guardiola, final game in charge of City after 10 years. Against Aston Villa. But as I say, this has been coming. I think it could well have happened earlier. There was a lot of talk about whether last season will be his last at Manchester City. He's given them one more year. It's a round number of 10. He delivered a 20th trophy, if you include the Community Shield and such like, by winning the FA Cup final at Wembley on Saturday. And who knows, there could yet be a late sting in the tail. There could yet be a treble. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't actually think Manchester City will win at Bournemouth tonight, but we shall see. But it is certainly the end of an era. What next for Manchester City? Well, that's been a fairly open secret as well. Certainly sources at Chelsea have long suspected that Enzo Maresca would be the new Manchester City manager. I understand there is an agreement in principle between Maresca and City for him to sign a 3-year contract. And he's even started to line up backroom staff. Willy Caballero, former Manchester City goalkeeper, someone that Maresca worked with before, is going to go as his number 2. So this could develop very quickly, not just Guardiola's departure, but the replacement being put in situ very quickly.
Sports Update, powered by the Nissan van range. Scoring a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines coming up to 5 minutes past 11, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. After 7 years, almost £1 billion and 3 third-place finishes, former Crystal Palace chairman Simon Jordan says the league title is validation for Arsenal's owners and Arteta.
Incremental successes of stabilising Arsenal as a top four side, competing in Europe, the revenue streams coming back into Arsenal that have been eluded from them for 2 or 3 years were there. So that's the reasons why he was given the patience. And here's the end result.
Party boys Bukayo Saka, Declan Rice and Urian Timber were still taking selfies with fans outside the Emirates at 5 a.m. Will it be a case of one brings two? talkSPORT's Danny Murphy thinks Arsenal's title win will afford them a bit of Champions League final freedom.
I felt that if they hadn't won the league and then they were going into that game against PSG, the pressure might have been a bit too much and, you know, maybe affected their performance.
Sure.
Now, in a way, it's kind of, I wouldn't say a free hit, but they can enjoy it.
Champions League live on talkSPORT a week on Saturday. Now, the EFL say the playoff final will kick off at 3:30 on Saturday if it's Hull versus Middlesbrough, but if Southampton are reinstated, the game will be at 4:30 as originally planned. Former Saints striker Ricky Lambert's told us their Spygate punishment is excessive.
For a fella stood behind a tree with a camera, that's way too much. It's too much to take for the club, the players and fans. That shouldn't be, there should be a sacrifice. Whoever took the decision to do that, that's the sacrifice.
Head coach Tonda Eckert's admitted to spying on 3 rival clubs. Saints are appealing the EFL's decision to kick them out of the Championship playoff final, and the ref who gave Man United a controversial goal at the weekend has not been given a game this weekend. Michael Salisbury allowed Cunha's goal to stand despite Brian Mbeumo handling the ball in the build-up. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
GPs could stop issuing sick notes under new government plans to cut welfare costs, and diesel and jet fuel made from Russian oil can be sold in the UK again. More with Emma at 5:30.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, where we've got a wider range of premium tyres than Britain has rainy days. Visit your local centre or book at quickfit.com today.
Brighter spells this afternoon, especially in the south. Bit of rain about in the west and across northern Scotland. Feeling warmer.
It's Danny Tyre! Wig, not wig.
It's a nutty canister, either way. I mean, look at the nut on it.
Bob Odenkirk! Saul was great. He was just a breath of fresh air. Amelia Clark! Star Wars versus Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, definitely.
Go.
I'm loyal.
Don't tell Alex Hassel!
In season 2, a lot of us get our clothes off.
You do know you did that in season 1.
Exactly, that's true, yeah.
Good morning, everybody. 7 minutes past 11 o'clock. What a morning we are having in here. Arsenal fans coming from all parts of the country, all parts of the world, to tell us exactly what it means to them that their club, Arsenal, are Premier League champions after a 22-year wait. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy. We are live in talkSPORT, live in your TV as well. And the number of calls coming in is almost getting matched by the number of calls coming in over Spygate. What a story this is. Southampton expelled from the Championship playoff final over the Spygate scandal. It is amazing. Southampton will also receive a 4-point deduction for next season's Championship season. So much so, though, that it's still unclear who's going to play who on Saturday in that final, because a short time ago the EFL told us the playoff final between Hull City and Middlesbrough will kick off at 3:30 should the outcome of the ongoing Southampton appeal process result in the final being contested by Hull and Southampton. In other words, if Southampton somehow get back in, if the appeal process is successful for them, the kick-off time will be an hour later at 4:30 at Wembley on Saturday. My colleague Alex Crook is all over this, talkSPORT's chief football correspondent. So it's a nervous wait for everybody, but particularly Southampton, Alex. What are you hearing?
Well, first and foremost, I was at Bournemouth last night, the Vitality, to see Arsenal crowned champions without kicking a ball. And it will tell you just how seismic this story is, that once the bombshell announcement broke about 45 minutes before kickoff in that game, it was all everybody was talking about. You know, you had the great and the good of sports journalism there last night to see Pep's final away game, as we understand it, to see the destiny of the title decided. But this story really overtook everything. And even the Bournemouth fans on the cusp of Europe for the first time, obviously they were nosy neighbours, if you like, wanting to know what was happening with Southampton. It is a sensational story and so many strands to it. And I've seen a lot of Southampton fans who've come out in condemnation of the club. They say this is the darkest day in their long history. And I think a lot of Southampton fans are quite embarrassed at the way in which their name has been dragged through the mud. As you say, the punishment is immediate expulsion from that playoff final on Saturday, the £200 million game. So they have been stolen of the right to possibly get back into the Premier League the first time of asking, and a 4-point deduction for the start of next season. That's because, as I understand it, the EFL argued that the playoffs needed to be treated as a separate cup competition. Obviously, Southampton admitted spying on Middlesbrough, so that's where that punishment comes from. They also admitted over the course of this hearing with the Independent Commission spying on at least 2 other Championship teams, which is why there's also a points penalty for next season. Southampton appealed it immediately, not because they feel they're innocent, but because they feel the punishment doesn't really befit the crime. One of the things I was told coming out of St Mary's is they feel this is unprecedented. It is, because there isn't a precedent. I know that Marcelo Bielsa escaped with a fine, but it was only after that incident ahead of the Leeds final playoff with Derby that it was put in the rule book. So this is uncharted territory. Southampton have told staff in an email that I've seen from the chief executive, Phil Parsons, their legal team are confident they've got a strong case. They're going to keep preparing for this game on Saturday. I don't think it's going to be overturned in terms of Southampton being allowed to play this final. What could happen is a sort of halfway house where the points deduction gets rescinded. But I think there's enough evidence that Southampton will not take their place at Wembley. We're hearing stories of analysts dressing as staff wearing the kits of non-league Eastleigh when Ipswich were using their training ground in order to spy. So this is quite sinister in many ways. This is not just some bloke who's turned up at the Middlesbrough training ground and filmed a few minutes of training. So I think they're banged to rights. I think they've shown very little contrition. I think it's poor that we haven't had a statement from Southampton in the aftermath of this punishment. We still haven't heard officially from the club. Yeah, we're a long way down the line now. Surely they should have had something prepared.
I've heard earlier on, Alex, we're going to be hearing from Southampton, not unsurprisingly, at some stage today when they know whether or not the appeal process has been successful. We have heard from a source close to the dressing room that there are claims that the players were furious with the EFL verdict. I'll bet they were, and that it could even lead to legal action against their own club for loss of earnings. I mean, the top of the club kind of dismissed that this morning. But what are you hearing?
I'm hearing that is a possible avenue, that certainly, the players have spoken to PFA representatives. I guess it's a difficult one to prove because we'll never know if Southampton would have gone up or not, because, of course, there's still a playoff final to be played. But their argument will be we've been robbed of the opportunity to increase our wages because a lot of them would have taken a pay cut when they were relegated from the Premier League a year ago. I think they're looking at it. Whether it will actually come to fruition, I think, is a different story. But there are big questions here over people right at the top of the football club. I think Tom Derecker, it will come out that he was right in the thick of these spying missions. So I think he is facing an FA sanction and may even lose his job as Southampton manager. You've got people above him like the sporting director, Johannes Spors. How much did he know about it? The chief executive, I mentioned, Phil Parsons. What I do know, Jim, and you know him well, is that Dragan Solak is spitting feathers about this. Obviously, it's a massive financial liability now if Southampton don't get the chance to go up. And I think there are going to be heads that roll at St Mary's.
Alex, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Alex Crook was all over the story, as you might expect, talkSPORT's chief football correspondent. Danny, what do you make of that from the player point of view, that they're said to be exploring their options regarding legal action?
Yeah, don't blame them. I mean, if someone gives me the opportunity, I'd obviously have to be advised and be guided, because at that age I wouldn't know what to do. But if there was a way of,
you'd do the same if it leads to loss of earnings.
I think so, especially if I felt like I'd been in the dark about it, because I'd feel so angry and frustrated that they thought we were incapable of beating the team and they needed to send someone go and spy on them.
Is that not a fair point, Simon?
Look, I mean, the players will be unfortunate victims of a decision made by their others. Now, whether the manager's involved, which I suspect he probably is, I thought collective responsibility was part of things. And really isn't, is it? It's all for oneself. And if that nauseating entity, the PFA, get involved and endorse this tripe and allow the players to sue their employer, I don't know what the world's coming to. And listen...
What would you do if you were the owner and
I'd go berserk at the manager.
Yeah, but if he'd gone behind your back with him and his analysts to do that,
I'd go berserk with them.
Are they sacked straight away?
I'd fire them. Yeah, of course I would fire them because.
So why haven't they?
They may well do. And I suspect that.
But wouldn't you be thinking if you fire them, then when you go for the appeal?
Well, you're not going to fire anybody until you find out the circumstances, the situation you find yourself in. I mean, I know that Steve Gibson probably would have fired them, and to be frank, that's a conversation I had with Steve. He said, if it was my manager, I would have fired them.
My point is, you're not going to get more sympathy or empathy from the appeal panel, the new one, if you've done.
Maybe if you're
proactive.
I mean, the idea that you don't show contrition. I mean, the fact is, I'm not sure what contrition you can show. You've done it. You've been caught with it. You regret it. The ownership doesn't have any part of this in terms of they didn't know about it. From what I understand, the chief executive didn't have anything to do with it. The owner doesn't have anything to do with it. I think the owner is a man of integrity. I think he operates in a certain way, so he won't want this for his team.
No.
The fact they've got bugger all benefit from it.
Yeah.
The actual scouting has produced for them no outcomes. Even makes it more stupid. But the idea that the players can sue the club for this situation, I find a little bit repugnant. But maybe I would do because I've been an owner. Maybe I look at it from that prism and say, I'm a victim. Who am I suing? I've had to bear the cost of you lot getting me relegated last year, and bear the cost of it. And yes, maybe your salary.
The players have got the club. The players have got the club to the Championship playoff final.
The players have been given the environment.
And then if they're robbed of that because of what's happened, they're going to come knocking on the owner's door and say, right, what we're going to do?
Everybody's been robbed, not just the players. The owner sits there, bankrolls the football club. When the football club is losing tens of millions of pounds, which it probably is, who's bridging that gap? So unfortunately, everybody takes the consequences of a situation. Everybody takes the upsides. Actually, that's not true.
Right.
When there's an upside, everybody else takes the upside and the owner gets very little from it.
So if the PFA came to your door and you knock on your door and you open it, what are you saying to them?
It's off.
How'd you get around that?
The problem is you're expecting young footballers who are looking at an opportunity missed to be able to be so open-minded and educated and
it would be fascinating to see. Look, if there is a real opportunity to achieve that.
Yes.
But I don't think there is a legitimate opportunity to achieve it. I think it's an incredible reach. First of all, you don't know whether you're going to win that playoff final, right? So the best thing you can legislate for is what additional monies you might have got for getting into the playoff final, because there might be bonuses in their contract. But to suggest, first of all, you don't know whether you're going to be part of the team the following season because you might have been sold. All of these things are a reach. So then you look at the goodwill, and there has to be goodwill. People make mistakes. People take decisions that are not always the best decisions. So all of a sudden, the owner, the club, have really suffered here. They're going to lose the opportunity for 250 million quid. But the only victims, apparently, are the players.
Well, at the moment,
what about the fans?
The fans are going to be denied it. Yeah, the fans are being denied it, of course.
Yeah, they'll get a cheaper season ticket.
As it stands, Southampton thrown out of the playoffs for Spygate, with Middlesbrough reinstated to face Hull in the final on Saturday. Although there is another kick-off time that would involve Southampton playing Hull if the appeal process goes in Southampton's favour. Anyway, kicking Southampton out at this particular stage because of spying behind a tree, a brave decision or a scandalous one? Does the punishment fit the crime? 03717 223344.
Zach, what about the Kai Havertz one? Got away with it there, didn't you? That's a red.
I think it should have been a red all day long. I'm not going to sit here and be biased, but I'm glad he didn't get sent off.
God, it's
I'm
a
very
stone
thankful.
wall. It's an unbelievable decision, that, from VAR. I cannot believe they look at that decision and go, nah, it's not a red card, that. I mean, it's unbelievable.
We've had two stinkers this weekend.
Unbelievable.
Two big stinkers.
One of the worst decisions I've seen this season.
And the Emblemo one at yesterday. That two for my money, howlers, absolute howlers. But, you can make the Arsenal fans listen to this going, well, maybe Saka should have had a penalty. I think there's something in it. I think it's one of those, I don't think there's enough in it to go to VAR, but the Havertz challenge, studs on the back of the calf.
It's terrible.
No, not going for the ball.
It's absolutely terrible. The ref sees it because he gives him a booking, right?
Yeah, no, he gives a foul.
The fact that
that's a foul.
The fact that he sees it, right, and doesn't, and quite clearly, you can see that it's a red card. It is he's nowhere near the ball. Nowhere near the ball.
It's not.
And then VAR look at that. VAR look at that decision and decide that that's not a red card.
I know, but when
it's one of the most unbelievable decisions I've ever seen.
The Mbeumo
It's outrageous.
The Mbeumo one yesterday is.
Well, they've already come out and apologised about that.
Yeah, well, listen, so they should. So they should, yeah.
Burnley had 20 minutes there with Arsenal down to 10 men. And look, I don't think they would have scored anyway because Arsenal are so good defensively. But Man City fans must sit there and think, what on earth is going on with these decisions? What on earth is going on? It's unbelievable.
No, but I remember the Rodri handball incident against Everton. You can always look back over incidences over the course of a season.
I know, but Chase, that is that.
No, I agree with you.
That is outrageous. It's an outrageous call.
I agree with you. But
what is the point in VAR? What's the point?
Well,
what is the point?
VAR would have looked at it and they said it's not worth it.
How can they look at that and not say
I don't know.
How?
Jay, I can't answer that.
Answer it.
But because I think it's a red. How can I answer it?
It's Danny Tyler! Wig, not wig.
It's a nutty canister, either way. I mean, look at the nut on it.
Bob Odenkirk! Salah was great. He was just a breath of fresh air. Amelia Clark! Star Wars versus Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, definitely. I'm loyal.
Don't tell Alex Hassel!
In season 2, a lot of us get our clothes off.
You do know you did that in season 1?
Exactly, that's true, yeah.
Boy, oh boy, what a story this is. Southampton thrown out of the playoffs for Spygate, meant to be playing at Wembley on Saturday in the richest game in world football. It will be against Hull City, or will it? Because of Spygate, at this moment they've been expelled from the game, Southampton. There's an appeal process ongoing today, and maybe while we're on air before 1 o'clock we might hear the result of that, whatever decision they arrive at. And will it be either Southampton or Middlesbrough who will play in that playoff final against Hull? Couldn't make it up, could you? But kicking Southampton out, is it a brave decision or a scandalous one? Does the punishment fit the crime? Middlesbrough fan Nick, good morning. Does the punishment fit the crime?
It absolutely does. I mean, a lot of people are talking about, what would they have got as an advantage from a man behind a tree with an iPhone? It makes no difference what advantage or otherwise. If it was worth a 500-mile trip, it was worth them cheating. They did it in December at Oxford. They've admitted that, and they did it in April against Ipswich. They've admitted that. They had an 18 or 19 match unbeaten run between those two dates, and you're not telling me that those two are not connected. And even if they're not, they're tainted by that. Admitting you've done it, what are they appealing against? They're trying to throw Tonderecker under the bus, as far as I believe, to try and say, if we throw him under the bus, please let us back in. Please just give us a fine. A fine does nothing for Middlesbrough. And here's the thing. A lot of people are saying, Middlesbrough in the wrong, Hull are in the wrong, and Millwall are in the wrong. I mean, people are blaming everybody in deflection. Southampton have cheated. There was a rule in place. Whether Tonderekar believes he knew it or he didn't know it because it was different to Germany is absolutely immaterial.
Right.
They've cheated. They've acted with absolute lack of class as well, by the way, across the whole process, ignoring press conferences. Their captain being an absolute disgrace with his celebrations and taking, liberties with Luke Ayling. They've been a classless club. And you know what? Their fans will always suffer. They're going to suffer every away game they go to from now on because they're tainted by this.
So you think you would say, Nick, the punishment? You would say the punishment does fit the crime. Nick, stay in the line for me. Robert, big Southampton fan. Does the punishment fit the crime, Robert?
Difficult one. At the end of the day, we cheated. But when you talk about football and you talk about integrity, do you seriously talk about in the same word or the same sentence? It just seems to me incredible, bearing in mind, the points deduction to Leicester City this year, where I suppose you could say breaking financial fair play rules is cheating. And they did that through the whole of the 23-24 season. To jump from a rule with no sanction to kicking a team out of, the biggest game in football seems incredible. And for me,
you think you should be reinstated, Robert, is what you're saying?
Well, put it this way. The EFL panel, or no, shouldn't say the EFL panel, should I, was meant to be, was not a professional panel in the sense of lawyers and barristers, as far as I hear. I can't understand how a panel that wasn't made up of legal experts made that decision.
Agreed.
Today, apparently, it will be made up of barristers and so forth. And surely the question isn't whether Southampton cheated, because we did, and everyone's embarrassed about that. It's how they've drawn this sanction out of the air. Because to me, there's nothing in the rules that would implicate that type of punishment for that type of crime.
Simon's nodding in agreement.
I think both callers are right. I think the Middlesbrough caller is right. I think, of course, if Middlesbrough had been on the receiving end of it, he may have a different view.
Yeah.
And the materiality of the game, if you look at the statistics, Middlesbrough didn't lose that game because they were spied upon. In the first game, they battered Southampton. They didn't take their chances. So the materiality of the circumstance that Southampton put themselves in has given them no real advantage. But the integrity of the game, the difference between PSR is bad management of finances that has a consequence attached to it. The integrity of the game, a bit like the sporting integrity around clubs playing in the same tournament. We are suggesting, as a result of the idea that two clubs playing in the European, ownership can't be shared because an owner will favour one side over another. There's no evidence of that, but it's integrity. When you get hold of people that bet on football matches, when you talk about players that have betted, and we talk about managers that have betted, and the consequences are quite high, and bans have come along because they breach the betting obligations.
Yeah,
there's that integrity of the game. This, in people's minds, goes to the integrity of the game. The issue with this is, how do you get? Believe me, that there were always rules that suggest good faith. So the fact they've been more specific about spying after the Leeds circumstance, there was always a good faith set of rules in terms of how people should conduct themselves. But how you've got from a £200,000 fine for Leeds to a £250 million potential penalty to Southampton is quite incredible.
Yeah.
The difference in this situation is, and to Leicester's, is that points can be deducted during the league season because the league season is a competitive season based upon a sequence of games. The playoffs are a knockout tournament. So the difficulty someone will have is, how do you sanction someone in a knockout tournament rather than a league season? But I personally think, and I think if Middlesbrough were on the receiving end of this, they would think so that as much as they are the victims of something, the circumstances are disproportionate.
We are being inundated with calls on this, so much so we'll take a break at 11:30 and return to it. Spygate. No one saw this coming.
I mean, how are you feeling? What would be a good World Cup for the USA, Brad?
Get into the knockout rounds and then see who you get drawn against.
Yeah.
I could see if we can finish top of the group, which will be really hard. People are saying we're in an easy group. Paraguay is going to be a hard game. I think man for man, player for player, we're better than Australia, but that doesn't mean that you're going to win the game. Turkey, man for man, player for player, is better than the U.S. when you go into it, so that's going to be a difficult game. So I think it depends where we finish in the group, and when we get to the next round, which I think we should, if you finish second or you're one of the third place teams, you're going to have a harder draw going through. Could we, if we got a nice draw, could we get to the quarterfinals? Yeah, we could, but we're still a growing footballing nation. I mean, we said most kids that are still born today want to play in NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, but stadiums are better, training grounds are better. Like everything's growing, but we're still not a footballing nation. So that would be success. But Tyler Adams is a good player. Weston McKennie's a good player. Chris Richards is a really good player. Anthony Robinson's an excellent player. One of our players we need to play well is Christian Pulisic, and he's had a real difficult time recently. So we got to hope that he comes in and does something going forward. Tim Weah is a good player. Balogun's had a great season, so we can cause
It's so funny. World Cups are so different now. You'll see that virtually every single team in the World Cup has got players that play in Europe.
Yeah, and that you'll know. Yeah, there's gone are the days when you get the World Cup and you think, "Wow, I've never seen him before." It was
kind of more exciting when we were growing up.
Yeah,
the difference with the U.S. team to, let's say, a Spain or an England or Germany's is that if Chris Richards is injured, if he does get it, that's a huge miss for us.
Yeah.
If Anthony Robinson can't play,
they don't have the depth.
No,
that's the thing.
With what comes in, so you mentioned Johnny. Okay, so he's out, and we have Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie. But then if Tyler Adams or Weston McKennie get injured, then it's a huge drop off.
Depth. Yeah, sure.
So now we're already asking Tyler, who has injury problems. Weston can do it, but to play every game now and every minute for us to be successful, and that's a big ask.
Yeah.
After 3 successive second-place finishes, Arteta's Arsenal are Premier League champions.
We've been waiting 22 years for this. It's unbelievable.
The last time we won the Premier League, I was 9, and I've never seen it in real life. I'm so happy, honestly. We're waiting for years for this.
Buzzy, come on!
Come on!
I'm just so glad it is now. Now we can rest on Sunday. Champions League final, we know what's going to happen, anything can happen.
Bournemouth's draw with Man City got Arsenal over the line and the Cherries into Europe for the very first time. The outgoing Andoni Iraola reflects on 3 successful years.
I'm very happy because we have the Europa League qualification that is big for this club, first time, and even the chance to fight until the end for the Champions League.
Meanwhile, Pep Guardiola will talk to Man City's chairman before making an announcement on his future. Roberto De Zerbi refused to talk about Spurs' late penalty shout during their 2-1 defeat at Chelsea. Spurs need a point at home to Everton on the final day to survive. And we're told Southampton boss Tonda Eckert faces a possible ban and a sack over Spygate. Saints are appealing the EFL's decision to kick them out of the Championship playoff final.
You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy this Wednesday morning, and we're live in talkSPORT, courtesy of Selco. It's where the trade goes. Selco Builders Warehouse, right behind this show every single day, every single morning. We're going to be joined by an Arsenal Invincible. Guess who? From 12 noon onwards, because after a 22-year wait, Arsenal are Premier League champions. He's going to be joining us live in studio. He's making a point of it, isn't he? And we're looking forward to seeing, but you'll need to guess who it is. We're all guessing as to what the outcome of this appeal process is going to be. Regards Spygate, Southampton have been thrown out of the playoffs for spying on opponents, with Middlesbrough reinstated to face Hull in the final this Saturday. But the EFL tell us if the appeal process is successful for Southampton, then they will kick off against Hull on Saturday at Wembley. Confused? I'm not surprised. But kicking Southampton out, and that is the stage we're at this moment. Was it a brave decision or was it a scandalous one? So many of you getting in touch with your calls, and Jack is a big Hull fan. Jack, good morning. I suppose you don't care, or do you? Who you play in this final?
Absolutely I care, gents. I mean, look, I don't envy the EFL or this independent commission's stance on it. You've got three sets of fans here with obviously differing opinions of wherever you stand. However, what mitigation have Southampton got to appeal it? Do you know what I mean? Where do you draw the line in the EFL? If you're confident in the decision of kicking them out of the playoffs, why offer them the right of appeal? And why, as per this whole saga goes on, messing about the fans, which I don't feel they've been thought about from the EFL standpoint of saying, the kickoff's going to be 3:30 against Middlesbrough, fine, draw a line under it, that. Oh, actually, it might be 4:30, depending on if we go against the original decision.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy in that respect, isn't it? Who would you prefer in the final, Jack?
Look, it'd just be nice to actually have a set opponent. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with the stance that we're aggrieved of not knowing who to prepare for. I mean, our coaches are going to have, we play both teams twice, you know what I mean? We have a well-versed of how they play and who we're playing against. Like I say, Borough, if you're reinstating Borough, we've reinstated Borough, draw a line under that, let's get the final on and actually play the game. And then Southampton, like I said, they've got no mitigation. They've admitted to the cheating. It's there in black and white.
Yeah.
Just play the game and get the game on.
Jack, good call. Thank you very much indeed. We heard some of the Southampton players are so livid they might consider legal action against their own club. Some of the fans are livid as well. James is a big Southampton fan. James, good morning. Are you livid?
Yeah, livid with everyone involved. As soon as that appeal is unsuccessful, which I'll be stunned if it isn't, by the way, every single person should be gone. Ownership, management, coaching staff, everyone. Yeah, it's a disgrace.
Ownership. I mean, do you not value the ownership of Dragon Solak, James?
No, I never have. In the 4 years they've been here, they've overseen it's an absolute shambles, the whole thing. I'm also on Spygate quickly. Sorry, I'm not one of those fans that asks for refunds after a bad result. I think you take that risk when you buy a ticket. That's part and parcel of being a football fan. What I will say is, you don't legislate when you buy a football ticket. You don't legislate that that particular ticket and that season might be null and void. I think every Saints fan has bought a ticket this season was quite within their rights to ask for their money back this season. But on the ownership, they're a shambles. They have been since they come in.
Simon, James, obviously. I mean, many other Southampton fans will be losing faith.
This is the club. This is the club that gave the world Rupert Lowe. So, with due respect to previous ownerships, look. I mean, I think that's an unfortunate outlook. I mean, I understand the frustration and exasperation. I don't think the senior management are complicit in this, and I understand that with due respect, people take responsibility. If you've created a culture that enables people to think they can behave this way, then perhaps there should be some consequences. But I think, and the observations about whether the ownership has been good or not, different matter. They got promoted last year. They got relegated the year before. Or the other way round. I don't think the ownership has been a disaster in the same way that this gentleman seems to think so, but it's his football club. And suggesting that somehow that everyone should be refunded their season tickets, I think is... You watch something, you watch those games, and they might have resulted in promotion they may not have done. You didn't get something for nothing. So with due respect to it, I think that's rather mean-spirited and not helpful to the cause, but I understand the fact that they should be frustrated and disappointed with the people that were the culprits in this, which would appear to be the football management.
James, before you leave us, I think he's still with us, isn't he? If you are reinstated and you play at Wembley at the weekend against Hull, you're going to go.
Yeah, I'll go. I've been home and away this season. I've been to Blackburn. I've been to Wrexham midweek. I've been to most games. I'll go. I'll support the football club through pretty much anything, but I won't be singing Von der Eckert's name. That's for sure. If he spearheaded this whole process, I won't be singing his name, and I certainly won't be singing sort of anything positive about the management. But I will go, and I've got to say I do feel sorry for whole fans, whole players, and the club, to be honest, because they've been planning all week to play us, and now they're planning to play Borough, but they've still got us in the back of their minds. So I think it's all unfair on whole. But yeah, I will go if we get there.
Okay, James, thanks for the call. Ben's a Middlesbrough fan. Ben, are you preparing for Wembley this weekend? Good morning.
Good. To be perfectly honest, I don't think we should go. I don't think that Middlesbrough should be playing. I don't think Southampton should be playing. I think it's the wrong decision entirely. I think that Hull played really well to get there. They beat Millwall. They got into the final. But I think that Hull should just go straight in. It should just be a case of Southampton's done what they've done, which is not good at all. Middlesbrough, we fluffed basically the last part of the season, didn't we? We were second, first, and then we ended up finishing fifth. And I don't believe we don't deserve to be there.
Wow.
I know it's a bit of a controversial opinion, but I don't think that Middlesbrough deserve to be in the final. We didn't play well enough against Southampton, especially in the first leg when we had opportunities. But I think with what Southampton's done, I just don't, they deserve to be punished for what they've done. But I don't think that anyone should be playing in the final. I should just say to Hull, right, off you go. See you in the Premier League next season. Well done.
Wow,
You
Ben,
deserve to be there. It's not
I didn't
fair
expect
on Hull.
that. I didn't expect that, Ben. Did you, Sam?
I think there's some merit in what he's saying. I think most of us that are dispassionate about it know that despite the fact that the spying was designed to create an outcome, it didn't. It didn't create any outcomes for any benefit in either the Ipswich game, the Oxford game, or the Middlesbrough game. The statistics, he's right, Middlesbrough didn't deserve to get to the playoff final. And through stupidity on Southampton's part, they have found themselves in an opportunity. Now, whether you take the game away and say that the broadcasting opportunities, the EFL construct the biggest game that's broadcast to hundreds of millions of people around the world,
going to give that
not
away.
going to do that.
No.
But I do agree with him. I don't think Middlesbrough deserve to be in the final on terms of their performance. They had their opportunities to be automatically promoted. They fluffed those lines, and they were beaten by Southampton over two legs. And as we have shown statistically in the first leg, Middlesbrough battered Southampton. So whatever spying they did worked in reverse.
Sam, we're going to finish with you. Sam's a big Borough fan, Middlesbrough fan. Do you deserve to be in the final? Ben says not. Do you, Sam?
Without a doubt. I mean, I don't know what Ben is talking about there. For starters, I haven't heard one presenter say for what it is, it's cheating. We were cheated. They broke the rules within 72 hours before sending a spy down, and then they've broke the rules for the lack of integrity, which the AFL says. Next thing, Southampton go on this 18-19 game unbeaten run. They beat Arsenal and Fulham along the way, and then when they've been caught out, they come out and admit to two results that they just so happened to draw and lose, so they didn't gain anything. We've been cheated. The only possible solution was for Southampton to be thrown out of the playoffs, because let's say next year a mid-table championship club, say Bristol City or whoever, aim for the championship playoffs. They end up finishing 7th or wherever, and say you sanction Southampton with a 4-point deduction and a massive fine like Leeds. Them championship clubs who finish mid-table are going to go, well, I'll tell you what it is. We'll send a few spies down. We'll take the risk on getting a points deduction and a daft fine to go and get 150 million in the playoffs.
Can I ask you an honest, objective question, and be as objective as you possibly can? Do you honestly believe that them spying on your team created an outcome in those two games?
Yes.
You do. Even though the evidence in front of you, even though the evidence in front of you, well, statistically, the evidence in front of you for the Middlesbrough game at your place, Middlesbrough destroyed Southampton. Whatever scouting they did on spying they did had no material influence on the game. The only thing that stopped Middlesbrough from not winning that game was the profligacy of your forward players. So do you still maintain that their spying created an outcome in these two games, besides breaching the rules?
It's cheating, Simon.
I know it's cheating, but that wasn't the question I asked you. I'm in your camp for suggesting it's cheating. So,
but Simon, that's like saying, yeah, we spied, but we didn't really learn anything.
But what I'm saying is...
But Simon doesn't know that. Simon, you don't know what advantage they gain from tactics. Whether we battered them or not, you've cheated. And it's as simple as that. I can't believe people are sat having a debate over whether a team should be thrown out with the Championship playoff final. You've cheated. It's as simple as that. And all this appeal nonsense. I mean, I've never heard anything like it.
Well, it's a hell of a reach, though, isn't it? It's a hell of a reach. It's a hell of a reach, though.
It might be a separate, decision. I agree with that. That might be a separate matter. However, you've cheated a team 72 hours before you play a playoff final. You should be thrown out of the playoffs, and the other team should be reinstated. I wonder how, I don't think your club would have done it. I wonder if the boot was on the other foot, what the reaction would be. Of course, in this conversation, you'd say one with outrage. I think the initial reaction from your people was amusement first, and then subsequently realising that actually there was an opportunity to turn this into something more significant. I'd be absolutely fuming with my club. I'd be like, why are we sending a spy down to another team, cheating ourselves?
But you wouldn't be happy if you were booted out of the competition, though, would you? You wouldn't be quite so robust in that position. You'd be saying, well, we cheated, and it's, was there any harm, any foul here besides the integrity of the game? We got no benefit from it, really. Statistically, in the game against the opposition, we were far better than they were, and we should have won the game out of hand.
One thing I don't understand is...
I don't think they were far better than us.
No. You were far better than them. You were better than them. You were far better than them up at the Riverside. You were far better than they were.
Sam, listen, you've put your case well and you've delivered it well. Thank you so much, Danny.
I was just going to say, I find it strange that if Southampton are going to appeal this and really go robustly to try and get it reversed, then surely they have to be proactive and have already sacked the people guilty. Because if I'm sat on that board, whether I'm a QC or not, the reality is if you're not showing responsibility.
But goodwill is not coming into it. No, goodwill. They're going to argue legal points. They're going to turn around and say you don't have the jurisdiction. You don't have the bandwidth to take it that far. It's going to be argued upon a legal premise, not goodwill. We've shown contrition by sacking the manager. You've only shown contrition to be able to overcome an appeal. So, of course, they're going to run an appeal. They have to run an appeal. It would be ridiculous for them not to run an appeal because on the off chance that they reverse a decision, they've made a £250 million decision. But again, no one's disputing the fact that Southampton cheated. It's about the nature of the sanction. And I think most people, besides those that are heavily invested in this situation, would think it was disproportionate.
Just where does it stop, though? Because I don't know if you've already covered this, sorry if you did, but if it gets reversed, do Middlesbrough then have a legal case?
Well, on and on it will go, probably. But, of course, the whole thing's time-sensitive, isn't it? We're talking about this weekend. I don't think Middlesbrough can appeal again. There's a great message from Chris. Why would they be spying on them, taking the risk of spying, taking the risk of getting caught, if they didn't believe there was an advantage to be had?
No, of course they did. Of course they did.
Yeah.
But the scenario is not about whether they believed they had an advantage, is whether they did actually have an advantage. And it would appear that very little advantage is being gained, which makes the circumstances in which they participated even all the more ridiculous.
Okay. We are at 11:45. Any news that comes out of that appeal process, we'll bring it to you first and fastest on the show. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
I mean, he's been given 7 years. And, of course, during that 7 years, what he's done is incremental progress. There's a little bit of flatlining. I mean, I wrote an article in 2023 saying that they had to spend £250 million to stand still after that first season where they finished second and they blew it themselves. And they did spend £250 million to stand still because they finished second each season. But you've seen the evolution of his thinking. You've seen the evolution of the manner in which it interacts with the media. You've seen the style of play change. But you've also seen them become more competitive in Europe at the same time. Because people turn around and say you can't have both. If you're going to do well in the league, you might find yourself being compromised in the Champions League. But they've gone deeper in the Champions League than perhaps some of their predecessors, notably Arsene Wenger, did for significant periods of his time during his tenure. So he's won on most fronts. So you have to give him all of the plaudits that this achievement deserves, because the end has justified the means.
What was the defining moment, Danny? Did the signing of Declan Rice appear on that particular list, if you're looking at what really clinched it?
Well, he's been a big factor, but he's been there a little while where they haven't got over the line. So I actually thought this season, the defeat at Arsenal kind of Man City set them free a little bit, because then they became the chaser, and it was a bit like, not nothing to lose, let's go. And they went again. Although they weren't brilliant, it still gave them a new focus and a new impetus.
Well, some thought they'd bottle it after that.
They did, because they've done it before. But I think Arteta deserves... When you look at the numbers, which I was looking at last night for the last 4 seasons, the 3 seconds and then the win, this is their most pragmatic season. They've been more... they've scored more goals in previous seasons. They've been more expansive, let's say, better to watch. And he made a conscious choice this season of becoming even more resilient and more difficult to play against.
Yeah.
And that is a brave decision, side, because if it didn't go well,
it can be castigated.
Yeah.
I mean, success in football has an irony because it's often an orphan. It's attributed to one person, and failure has many fathers. In this instance, success has many fathers because I think you can take it back to the decision to break up the dressing room, to get rid of Aubameyang, and to be supported in doing that, for Kroenke to have the penny drop and bring his son into it so that
It's Danny Tyler! Wig, not wig.
It's a nutty canister, either way. I mean, look at the nut.
Bob Odenkirk!
Salah was great. He was just a breath of fresh air.
Amelia Clark! Star Wars versus Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, definitely.
Go.
I'm loyal.
Don't tell Alex Hassel!
In season 2, a lot of us get our clothes off.
You do know you did that in season 1?
Exactly, that's true, yes.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus. Gambleaware.org.
Yep, BetMGM time. Charlie Robertson joins us, and we're going to look at the odds around and about some of the top sporting events. And what with Arsenal clinching the title last night and Spygate still doing the rounds this morning, we've almost forgotten that Aston Villa play Freiburg tonight. 8 o'clock kick-off, the Europa League final in Istanbul, live on talkSPORT. Charlie Robertson, good morning. What are you thinking of this?
Morning, Jim. Morning, guys. Yeah, massive night for Aston Villa, isn't it, Jim? Obviously take on Freiburg tonight. I think would be a first trophy in 20 years. So, as I said, yeah, a huge night for Villa. They've won 12 of their 14 in the competition this season, and just 3-5 to get the job done in 90 minutes, and just 2-7 to lift the trophy. So we do think they'll probably get the job done, Jim. Freiburg, who actually beat RB Leipzig at the weekend 4-1, so they're in quite decent form. They're 17-4 to win the game, 5-2 to lift the trophy, and the draw in the game is 13-5. Gents, I thought, Liverpool weren't great, but I thought Villa looked really, really good on Friday evening. I think you've probably got to fancy them here, particularly with Unai Emery's amazing record in Europa League finals. How do you see this one going? Fairly straightforward for Villa, or can you see the Germans putting up a bit of resistance?
There's no final that's ever straightforward because they'll be well up for it, Freiburg, and anything can happen. Bad, refereeing decision, sending off, a wonder goal. There's so many permutations, but Villa's quality, if you look at the two teams, they have the better players, the more experienced players, international players. That little bit of experience should get them over the line with the quality they've got. Watkins is firing, Rodgers is top drawer. So yeah, you make them strong favourites, but you never know. It's a final. Things happen.
Yeah.
Danny, just on Unai Emery quickly, and there's obviously a lot of talk about how amazing a job he's doing. With your Liverpool hat on, would you take him at Liverpool? Do you think he's deserving of that sort of job now, or do you think he'd sort of stayed put at Villa if that was an option?
I think yes. I think he'd be a popular choice because of what a wonderful job he improves players. He's a top manager. I don't think they would go for him. Well, actually, whether they would or they wouldn't, I don't think he'd leave. I think he likes the fact he's got complete control there, which he wouldn't have at Liverpool. So I see that as a long shot, mate, to be honest.
Yeah, it almost makes out that he's perfectly happy. He'll be even happier if they win it tonight. What about England announcing their World Cup squad on Friday? What are you thinking there?
Yeah, amazing. It's just 28 days, Jim, until England play Croatia in the first World Cup group game. So not long to go now. And yeah, as you mentioned, I think it's 48 hours or so, and then we'll know Tuchel's 26-man squad. We've got priced on all the big names to be on the plane, Jim, on our website. And I was going through this morning, and there's obviously a few spots up for grabs. There's two sort of positions I want to have a quick look at with the guys. Right back, guys, I think Reece James is obviously going to be first choice, but with Ben White injured, I think there's got to be a case now to bring Trent on the plane. Do you think Tuchel will take him, Simon, Danny, or do you think he's a bit too far away down the list for Tuchel's liking?
Well, he didn't put him in the squad at 36. I'd be absolutely gobsmacked if he took him. He obviously doesn't fancy him defensively. You've got Livramento, you've got Konza who can play there. I'd be surprised. I'd be really surprised.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously, I don't think there's going to be enough. Wow, didn't see that one coming. I don't think we're going to be in a situation like that come Friday.
No. I agree with you.
No. What about the PGA Championship? It just so happens that golf expert Danny Murphy.
I am. That's exactly what I am.
Is in this.
I've got to ask you, Charlie. I'll bring it up because Aaron Rai, who's such a popular winner, what a guy. So much to like about him, his humbleness and just the way he goes about his profession. It was an unbelievable back nine, unbelievable level of composure. But did you take much money on him? Because he was big odds, wasn't he? He hasn't had the best start to the season.
Yeah, he was 150 to 1, Danny, and there's not many bets. I don't know anyone personally that backed him. I know you've bigged him up a few times, haven't you? And he's, yeah, as you mentioned, that putt on the 17th was absolutely unbelievable, wasn't it?
But even the bunker shot on 13 and just the driving
amazing.
Accuracy was just incredible. Because he has had a bit of stick, the two gloves, the covering his irons, which is a great story behind that anyway. But I think now, because he was close to Ryder Cup last time, he started playing well, didn't he? And I know it's a little bit away, but this could kick him on, hopefully.
100%. I think, as you say, he does things in his own unique way, doesn't he, with the two gloves, and he's not the longest hitter. I think he was 66th in driving distance. So shows you don't always have to be a big hitter to win. But yeah, amazing performance. And you've got to think he's pretty much nailed on for the Ryder Cup now. I think, as you said, he was close last time. But I think in Ireland next September, I think he's nailed on. And he's 70 to 1 for the US Open, Danny, which I don't think is a terrible price given the way he plays and that sort of grinding methodology he goes about things. So yeah, I think he'll have a few supporters at 70 to 1 for that for sure.
Okay, Charlie, thank you very much indeed. Remember the latest odds at BetMGM. Visit betmgm.co.uk, download the app. 18+, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Sad news this morning. The news is coming through to us that former Hearts and Celtic midfielder Mike Galloway has died at the age of 60. Really good lad, Mike Galloway. Interviewed him a few times many years ago up in Scotland. Very sad news about Mike Galloway passing. News coming through to us this lunchtime. Now, this lunchtime, I'm looking through the glass, and an individual who looks as if he's just won the Euro Millions has walked into the studio. His name is Arsenal invincible Martin Keown. God help us, he'll join us from 12.
He's going to make the change.
Oh my God, Mwani's one of the worst players I've ever seen. He's just give the ball straight to Cole Palmer. He's give the ball straight to Cole Palmer. We're going to go 2-0 down. I'm telling you, we're going to go 2-0 down. I told you! I told you!
I'm the Chills!
You can see it!
Chills! Can you believe it?
You can see it happening! You can see it happening!
I'm the Chills! I'm the Superids! I'm the Chills! 2-0 Super Blues!
It's a joke!
Get in!
It's a joke! You can see it a mile off! You could see it a mile off. I could see you. I told you we'd go 2-0 down. I told you we would make a mistake. Mawani, get out of our club. Mawani, get out of our club.
Out the Chelsea! Out the Chelsea! 2-0. Ball's given away. Cole Palmer. Who gives that? Was it Mawani? Ball comes out on the
Mawani's
right
giving
side.
straight to Cole Palmer.
Ball comes in.
Honestly. This team is absolutely garbage. This team is so bad. This team is so bad. It's unbelievable. It is so bad. I said to you, as soon as them subs, I said to you, Jace, as soon as them subs started to get their shirts off, I said, we'll go 2-0 down. Pointless. De Zerbi, you should have made the change 10 minutes ago. Mawani's one of the worst footballers I've ever seen in a Spurs shirt. Get him out of our club. Honest to God. Look, they're standing on the side of the pitch waiting to come on. I said it. We'll go 2-0 down. What happens? 2-0. We are a disgrace. We're a disgrace of a football club. We deserve to be in the Championship. Honestly, mate. Honestly, I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen anything like this in my life. This team is absolute guff. Guff. They are guff all over the park. Guff. It is disgusting how bad this team is. It's disgusting. Disgusting.
Up Chelsea.
I cannot believe this team I'm watching. I cannot believe this team. How do I support this team? They are terrible.
Engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
We are the champions, my friend.
are the champions. And they are Arsenal. Wow. After a 22-year wait, Arsenal are Premier League champions. Manchester City failed to beat Bournemouth, meaning the Gunners are champions with a game to go. We are hearing as many as 100,000 gathered outside the Emirates last night, some of them there till 5 or 6 a.m. to celebrate the fact that Mikel Arteta and the boys had done it. And hot foot from the Emirates, although he has been home, as I understand it, and he's hot-footed it in here to the studio on the 17th floor of the News Building at London Bridge. The one and the only, Martin Keown, is in our midst.
Jim, I'm just having a drink out of this bottle. Just to reaffirm, if anyone thought we lost our bottle. There it is.
There it is. Is this the same bottle as that Manchester City fan
and it
was
tastes
glugging out of?
Tastes beautiful, by the way. So, no, congratulations to the club, firstly, Jim, to the players, the supporters. It's been a lot of pain. There's been a lot of commitment, a lot of energy's gone into it. You lose it 3 times. Something that we did as a group and this group now, just to see them, win the Premier League. Fantastic moment for the club. The supporters, I was at the ground last night. Honestly, the amount of support that was there instantaneously, fans everywhere, Jim. There was about 100,000. They're claiming 100,000 people there last night around the ground. A great moment. Fantastic for Arteta.
Yeah.
You guys questioned him. I felt that this would be the year, and it's proved to be the case. So, very satisfying.
Just to be clear, you were at the Emirates and you were there on Arsenal duty, were you?
I was doing a pitch event. A lot of the clubs do this, and I just thought I need to stay. I need to keep an eye on this. And it was watch the last 20 minutes. I thought Bournemouth were absolutely magnificent in their endeavour. Just the honesty of this Premier League to win it. I think people are saying it's not the best Arsenal team of all time, but you know what? The Premier League now is so competitive, Jim. Bournemouth, look at what they're achieving. Their manager doesn't even have a club for next season, but look, he's going to leave the club that Bournemouth in the 6th place. So I knew it was going to be tough for City, and I think they ran out of steam in the end. And Pep, I thought maybe that would give them a little bit more energy, a bit more oxygen that the manager announces pretty well that he's going on the day of the game, but it proved not to be enough in the end.
I need you to give me a straight answer to this. Have Arsenal, in your view, been the most discredited champions in recent history?
I don't know if it's the day for it to discuss that.
Oh, yes, it is.
I don't think it is. I think we should look at what Arsenal have achieved.
Bottlers.
What I do know is
they've been discredited in some quarters, and you have not liked that.
Yeah, I'll interject there. Discredited by ill-informed football people who don't. I mean, all we were talking earlier. A lot of champions have been discredited. Yeah, because if you can't see, anybody who suggests that, I mean, it's ridiculous. They've been the best team. They've been the best.
Yeah, but they've only now won it.
Yeah, but they've been the best team, but done it in a different way to what some people expect them to do it. It's ridiculous to be giving that too much credibility when people start talking about an asterisk over their name, because all that stuff. It's ludicrous. I mean, you've just got to look at their form over a 60-game season, Champions League and Premier League. They deserve what they get, and just because they haven't ticked the boxes of aesthetically pleasing football to some. It's just a different way of doing it. They deserve the plaudits.
So you don't think there's been an agenda, as some do? You don't think there's been any agenda against Arsenal?
No, I wouldn't call it an agenda. I think there's a certain minority of press,
former players,
that want to,
former players of the clubs,
maybe, but yeah, that have gone after them in an exaggerated way. Let's say I've never run along with that narrative. I don't like it. I had my success as a footballer by playing for pragmatic managers who were really good defensively, so I admire it and always have. The problem is these days, with football being talked about on every show and plastered all over the telly every night there's a game. Everybody wants to be entertained and win stuff by playing beautiful football. Arteta has tried it. They've been expansive. They've had a go at doing that and failed, and he's found a different way.
Danny, I know you find this sort of middle ground that you find, but if you're a former Arsenal player or you're an Arsenal fan, that really hasn't been the case. I work with like a multitude of different broadcasters. The amount of giggling that happens in the background in my ear when Arsenal slip up, people have ridiculed the club. It's been it's not been easy. It might have been a pet hate for everyone. You've got Carragher claiming that it's a national pet hate for everyone to dislike Arsenal. No, it isn't. It isn't. It really isn't. And so you get this army against you if you're on the inside.
But wouldn't you get an army against you if it was Man United failing? If it was Liverpool?
Not at all, because I don't take joy in other people's failures. So Spurs may go down this weekend. That's not on my agenda. I don't care. I want Arsenal to win for them. It's a much more fulfilling way to live your life. Just to look at what people's failings and in that way. Sorry, that's why Spurs are where they are right now,
So you're
taking
talking more
joy out
about
of Arsenal
ex-players
and
than
not
fans,
doing
because
things.
you expect it from fans, don't you? Fans ridicule each other. That's the way. It
Yeah, I mean, Simon, you aim at Alan Pardew, don't you? Talk about this asterisk.
I think it's very poor. Yeah.
You know, and Peter Schmeichel. I'm not trying to name a shame.
No, I agree with you.
They shouldn't even be in the conversation today. The conversation should be completely about Arsenal and how magnificently well they've done. This is the fourth year that if you added all the points up in those 4 years, I think Arsenal are pretty well at the top of it. I haven't done the maths, but they've been really consistent, but they haven't been able to go on and win it. So they've challenged for the last 4 years. Now that Pepper's gone, I can see them challenging for the next 4 years if this manager wants to hang around. There's a Champions League coming up. I would say to the players, look, guys, rest, enjoy, but do something that no other group has done for Arsenal in the past. You can win a Champions League. Our group, as good as it was, didn't do it, should have done it. It still hurts
now.
now.
Go down in history, wouldn't they? They would be idolised.
But they need the elation. I could see it. I wanted it for this group. Those photographs now, there's a pot there. You know, there's a proper trophy that you can celebrate, but don't celebrate for too long because people will be on your back. They'll be trying to take that crown off you. Liverpool didn't really defend it this year, but I think the club, this is a stepping stone now for future success, and they have to show that vision to take the club to the next level.
You won it, and you know what the feeling is like, Martin. What are these players feeling today?
Well, I feel more emotional. I'm trying to hide that. We are the champions. Said to Luke coming in, put that on because honestly, I haven't heard it for so long. And when we walked around the pitch at Highbury and you see the stands bouncing, the fans, there's a generation of Arsenal fans who've not experienced this. Arsene Wenger was incredible. We went from winners to about brand. I don't know what happened. What brand was important. Now it's winning again. There's been 2 or 3 seasons where Arsenal, I think 16 out of 18 games they won 2 years ago, playing incredible football, putting people away. Now, okay, it was a bit of a grind, a lot of set pieces involved, but the manager adapted and found a way to win. Perfect for me.
I think one of the other things as well, I mentioned on Match of the Day last night, is that for those neutrals who maybe, wanted City to win or wanted Arsenal to win, well, I think we've missed the fact that this season Arteta's played 8 English players in the squad. In an era when we're looking at bringing and just get the best and buy whoever, there's got to be some plaudits for that, because young English talent tends to get put, go under the radar a little bit in terms of when looking at.
But it's the number of players.
Team.
So this is like when we won and we went on, became invincibles. It was about the squad. And this year for me is all about the squad.
It is, but that's what I'm saying.
So many different players, the different permutations of back fours, the different permutations of how many 10s have we played this season? If it wasn't Ødegaard, it was Eze, Max Dowman, maybe one of the youngest ever winners of a Premier League. There's been so many things to point to. Set pieces have been quite magnificent. So the guys, and I think Declan Rice for me sits. We're going to go back into it now. Does the Player of the Year have to have won something? I think Declan Rice was immense the other night. The way he's putting out fires in midfield.
I think he's the Player of the Year.
Going from strength to strength, and let's hope he takes that into a World Cup and maybe win the Champions League against PSG next weekend. So it's been a really good journey for Arteta, who's stuck at it. Do you remember we were sitting here a number of years ago, Jim, and you were saying he must go, he's got to leave. I mean, there was a 10-game spell when he was in trouble right at the beginning. A barren period, 10 matches, and I think they beat Chelsea in that game, and it started to recover and started to build. And he got a foothold in the club. And
well, we discussed that earlier, Martin, because there was a feeling at the time. I mean, Stan and Josh Kroenke, they had a decision to make, and we showed earlier on.
Well, they should be applauded then, shouldn't they?
Josh Kroenke said, "Not you're our man. We're with you. We're behind you," and that was a pivotal moment. Yeah, and they backed him. Simon and I were discussing that with Danny this morning.
Do you know there's been steps made in the last few weeks? This the feeling of when you turned up at Highbury, you go down Avenel Road, Jim, and you see the fans and you connect, and they've reproduced that, okay? And really this ground was seen as the promised land, and it hasn't happened till now. It's the first time they've won a Premier League. I think you need to do that to call it a proper home.
Yeah.
And it's become a home. unconditional support the last 2 games. None of this whinging, moaning. We want more. They've been absolutely magnificent. I think the fans, by the way, I've been with a lot of the fans recently, and the dedication to the team, trying to get tickets for this final, it's their life, these supporters. So I think it's been a great moment for everybody involved at Arsenal Football Club.
Did you shed a tear last night when the whistle was blown at Bournemouth?
Do you know, I just met my son upstairs, and I found that really emotional because...
he works in this building, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I think it's poignant when you... Because you reflect and you think 22 years and the people you shared that with, all those joys, you know, people that are not with us anymore. And now we're here again, still here, and the new generation, you know, feels that. And I think most importantly, there's players, the elation of success, and you're not second best anymore. You're 100% first place.
Okay, who were you with last night when the news came through from Bournemouth?
Well, first player I saw afterwards was Ray Parlour, who was part of the Invincibles, and he was united in that feeling of, you know, wanting this group now to emulate, go on one step further, you know, because you get that moment in time when you can make things happen, and it is about people, Jim. You know, we talked about the ground, its places, but there are some special group of people. I think I met Josh recently for pretty well the first time, Josh Gronke, Richard Garlick, great man in charge, football man, and all these people play a major part. The draw has been really handy for Arsenal in the Champions League. I was at the draw, we can say that, but they've got to finish the job off. So Jim, they're really halfway through the season here. We've got a massive opportunity to go one step further than anyone else and win the Champions League as an Arsenal player.
Okay. Arsenal Invincible, Martin Keown in our midst. And why wouldn't he be? Because it's Arsenal's time, of that there is no doubt. And can they double it up with the Champions League? Wow. Who's to say they can't? We're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
Spurs, you must have won hell of a beating. Can you hear me? The Europa League champions, do me a favour. Jude Law, chicky. Can you hear me, chicky? You must have won hell of a beating. Can you hear me, Roberto De Sperzi? You must have won hell of a beating. Roberto Sperzi, you must have won hell of a big cockerel from Weasley. Beavertown Brewery, can you hear me? Jamie O'Hara, can you hear me, Jamie O'Hara? You must have won hell of a beating. Can you hear me? Encouraging sign. Can you hear me? Encouraging sign. Can you hear me? Encouraging sign. You must have won hell of a beating. The SA signing. Looking for the more giveaway signing. Adele, Lord Sugar, Tadarius Tapu. Can you hear me, Tadarius Tapu? You must have won hell of a beating. Tadarius Tapu. Tadarius Tapu. Tadarius Tapu. Can you hear me, Tadarius Tapu? You must have won hell of a beating.
I can't believe you just pulled out them two masks. I cannot believe what I've just seen. And we get beat 2-1 at the bridge again, mate.
O'Hara.
Oh, mate.
O'Hara's got an imps mask. He's got his,
I can't believe you've got an O'Hara mask. Where have you're sneaky, you lot. Yous are so bad. Honestly, yous are horrible. I don't know why I work here. I don't know why I work here. This is unbelievable stuff. All the stuff I do for this station, and that's how I get treated.
What do you mean?
You go and order an O'Hara mask and wear it on the night that Spurs get beat against Chelsea.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
I don't know what you're talking
mate,
about.
Take the mask off. Please, take the mask off, mate. I can't.
Is it Jay?
Oh,
Jay.
what a bad night, mate. What a
Mate,
bad
listen,
night.
you drew the second half, mate.
Oh, mate, don't start. Don't start.
I mean,
I knew it was going to be bad.
Listen, I don't know why you fall out at me over this. You drew the second half. And to be fair, I like the way that you kept booting the ball out of play just to keep the score down, because goal difference might come into it, mate. You never know.
It's Danny Tyler! Wig, not wig.
It's a nutty canister, either way. I mean, look at the nut on it.
Bob Odenkirk!
Salah was great. He was just a breath of fresh air. Amelia Clark.
Star Wars versus Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, definitely. I'm loyal.
Don't tell Alex Hassel.
In season 2, a lot of us get our clothes off.
You do know you did that in season 1.
Exactly, that's true, yes.
We're live in talkSPORT this Wednesday lunchtime. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy and Arsenal Invincible Martin Keown is in our midst. And why wouldn't he be? Because after a 22-year wait, Arsenal are Premier League champions. A lot to get through with Mr. Keown, who is quite rightly celebrating this lunchtime. Martin, here's the thing. The Premier League title is theirs. The Champions League trophy might be theirs. If Arsenal go on and win the Champions League, do they surpass what you, the Invincibles, did in the past? You didn't want to answer that the other day. Will you answer it now? If they win the Champions League?
I did answer. I said if and maybes. They've won one of them now. So if they win the Champions League, yeah, they do. Of course they do. They're the most coveted Arsenal team of all time because they've taken it to the next level. So they've embraced the past and used that as oxygen going forward to create our new history. I went to the museum at the beginning of the week, the Arsenal Museum. I didn't see another room which says our future. I want another museum. I want it bigger, and I want to fill that room with more history and more trophies. And that's where the club should be looking right now. You know, don't put any limitations, Jim. You think I'm getting carried away, right? The fan base is enormous. The stadium, okay. Next step was it needs to be made bigger. I think Wenger underestimated potentially. This is in the middle of London.
What is the capacity, Mike?
60,000, and it's just too small, really. It's just too small. Maybe they've outgrown their own. But you don't want to go developing and then lose that unity you now found. So maybe another couple of Premier Leagues compete for another couple. We know Liverpool will come back. You know, we know that Man City will be interesting when Pep goes.
We were talking earlier about the opportunity here, and without getting carried away, but even from an outside perspective, if you're not Arsenal, you look at the stability of the squad. There's going to be improvement. Chelsea are way off it. United are still trying they've got a few steps to go. Liverpool are a little bit, they need a big summer. I mean, whether it's a new manager or not, 5 more new players, 3 or 4 going. City, if Pep goes, I mean, they're trying to follow him. It's a window, isn't it?
It is. And when Pep leaves, and we've seen already, haven't we, these great clubs, when these leaders go, it's like pulling a plug out the bath. And we're still waiting for Manchester United to win something since Ferguson left. We've now seen some Arsenal win something for the first time in what I don't know how many years he's left. It must be nearly 10 years that he left Arsenal. So, you know, and Pep they'll be in the same situation. Will players want to leave? You know, will they have to work hard to keep these players on board? A new manager coming in. So it does open the door. They're not quite as invincible. I think it's great that Arsenal have won a Premier League while Pep's still here. Because the way the media works, the narrative becomes, well, you know, you only won it when Pep wasn't here. So that one's gone. That can't happen. You know, this thing about transitional season, well, they didn't win it last year and they haven't won it again. So that's 2 years now that you know.
First time.
It is. So, you know, I think we should applaud what Arsenal are doing. I don't get carried away. Everyone's putting earplugs in. Oh, Keown saying they're going to be champions of Europe. And they're going to... No. This is now the platform. This is the foundation now for them to go on and take the club to another level.
It could well be something of a full circle moment, though, Martin, because as we've been saying, Arteta started alongside Pep, of course, and now we know that Pep is going, or is he? Pep is going, and Arteta and Arsenal have clinched the Premier League. But on whether or not Pep is going, it was coy on that last night.
With the club, always I talk, but not now. 3-4 seasons ago, when it was 1 year left, or we didn't extend, or that. Because the first you have to understand, you should talk with my chairman first, right? And after that, when I talk with my chairman, so we decide to have 1 more year. We talk everything, and we'll decide.
Well, he doesn't confirm it either way, Simon, does he? So the cat was out the bag, but now he's kind of playing it down a bit.
Yeah, I mean, if he's not leaving, he doesn't really need to talk to his chairman, does he? So I think everyone knows that, and I think it's universally accepted, perhaps not by Chelsea at this moment in time in terms of what Maresca may think he's doing, but the reality of Maresca is going to Manchester City and he's going to manage Manchester City. And Martin makes very good points about the opportunity that exists for Arsenal with this win. The interesting thing for me is what Arteta does next, because I wonder if the way they've won the Premier League is the way that he actually wants to play. What he's done is done the job to win the Premier League, however it needed to be won. Whereas Pep has always played the way he wanted to play. So the next turn of the wheel is, are Arsenal ideologically going to change to be able to play the way that Arteta might actually want to play rather than he felt the necessity? And that will be an interesting dynamic, because he doesn't strike me as an ideologue. He does what's necessary. Yeah. So these are interesting dynamics. But I'm also interested to see, I want Arsenal to win the Champions League because I want an English club to win it. I tipped Arsenal to win the Premier League this season. He and I have difference of opinion. He conflates my questioning of his objectivity with criticisms of Arsenal. But I think it's great that Arsenal have won the Premier League, because who wants Man City dominating English football? Who wants it up in the north? If you're a Londoner or a Southerner, you want it back down south. So whether it opens a new opportunity for Arsenal to dominate English football, I don't want that either. I want someone else to win the Premier League. Of course, Arsenal being an Arsenal member, I want Arsenal to win the league. But what I do want them to do is I want them to go and win the Champions League. And what is great and very rarely seen in society, and a lot of things he said today are right, about the idea that you accentuate the positive rather than constantly pulling down the negative. The idea that so many of the ex-Arsenal players, people cling on to things that are important to them. It gives them validation. And the fact that he, as a person that won the Premier League as part of a team of Invincibles, is more than happy for a media characterisation to be eclipsed by the next generation shows a calibre of a person. And I think that our eyes don't betray us. With due respect, we look at the history books. If Arsenal go and win the Champions League, in the history books, this will be the greatest Arsenal team. But our eyes don't betray us. We all know that what we saw in 2003, 2004, an invincible team, is probably a better team than this. But in the history books in 20 years' time, when people look back on it, they'll see the history. So I'm in the camp of wanting, I definitely want them to beat PSG. I don't want PSG having some sort of monopoly of the Champions League. So the more English teams are successful, the better it is.
Well, your point leads to an interesting question I wanted to ask Martin, actually, regarding the evolution of the team, whether it be tactical or personnel, because this is a hell of a strong squad. Where do you think he needs, what would you think, where do you think he's going to try and improve the team?
Interesting, I think they're centre forward, there might be another one coming in.
Left wing?
It's hard to find the right centre forward really for Arsenal. Do you want one running into the channels? Do you want someone coming to feet, to link? Havertz was chosen for that role, wasn't he, the other night? Gyökeres then was changed. They may be the players. Jesus might be, feel he needs to step away because he hasn't played so much football. Martinelli, again, has like fallen our way. Played a major part, though, every single one of them in this Premier League. So I think there's time to reflect, look back and build from there. But you've already won the Premier League and now you can go and put it all right to change it going forward. So I don't see an issue with that. No, this is now a time for them to enjoy themselves. Of course, the players were at the ground till 5 a.m. There's a real connection.
But do you think they will evolve, or do you think they'll stick with what they're doing?
Well, Simon makes a really good point, because 2 years ago, they were playing this amazing football, blowing everybody away.
Scoring 80, 90 goals.
They won 16 out of 18 games at the end of the Premier League. It wasn't enough. And we watched, I think they went 10 games, Man City. This time, Man City have been falling away a little bit, and it hasn't been quite the same team. And he's adjusted, found a way to win. But I think eventually, the blueprint of what he wants will be to play more attractive football, be more creative, but with a little bit of this. It used to be the Boltons, didn't it, who might put balls into the box and score lots of goals from set pieces. But now it's the top teams. Arsenal are the top team for set pieces. They do a bit of everything.
Have you been confident throughout the whole season, Martin?
Do you know what? It's funny.
Arsenal were going to clinch it.
Look,
did you ever have a doubt?
Never had a doubt, and I've not wavered from that. I remember Arsenal 1-0 down at St James's Park. It's always a difficult ground. It's going to go. I said, no. Luke's texting me during the game. It's over. What's going to happen to the manager? I said, trust me, keep watching. They win 2-1. You know, they found a way this year to keep winning games.
And producer Luke doubted
just
them.
smell it. You smell it.
Terrible
Producer
through
Luke,
there.
as many awards as he's won for this program, as we've all played a part in. It has felt like a marathon this season, and the amount of discussion around Arsenal, Jim, it started after about 4 games. 4 games, I think they lost to Liverpool, and everyone's saying that Arsenal bottled it, blown it even then. And I think that's rude. I think it's unkind. I think it's unnecessary. And do you know what? Where's their bottle now? Tell me where their bottle is. Where's this Man City fan that was giving it large? Now, what you won't see from the Arsenal fans is the same kind of attitude if somebody comes up alongside. And do you know what's really pleasing for me? As much as Pep has done in his, there won't be any cigars this year. And I don't like the cigar look. You know, for me, it's a symbolism, and I don't think it's right and proper. And I hope Arteta doesn't get cigars.
Look, there's your chum. It's a split
There he is.
screen on
There he
YouTube.
is.
There's a fella, the Manchester City fan. Now,
To
come
be
on,
fair
where's
to him,
where's
to
your
him,
Arsenal
He
bottle?
was in his car backtracking. I saw the
Fair to him,
video.
yes, he did say to me, I think we both lost our bottle when Donnarumma, you know, failed to clear that ball against Arsenal, and it was half time, and it was like looking dodgy for City. So
yeah,
maybe City found it tricky. 1 or 2 at the back. You know, Kusanov, his first season. Nunes playing right back. He wasn't really a main part of previous teams. Gahey coming in. O'Reilly, who thought been magnificent. There's a bit of nervousness. It's their first Premier League as well.
Yeah.
And they weren't able to accomplish it.
Martin, stay with us. Why not? It's a special moment all the way through until 1 o'clock, because that's not all that was happening last night. Arsenal clinching the Premier League title, although that was the most significant thing, of course it was. Simon was at Chelsea, Tottenham. I was down in Brighton, and I had a chat with Brighton owner Tony Bloom. But, of course, as we know, he pumped 10 million quid into Hearts. And we know what happened to Hearts at the weekend. You'll hear from Tony Bloom in the final half hour today.
I met Arteta for the first time in October in a restaurant randomly. And I said to him, we're going to win the league because you've got the squad now that you've wanted. It's your vision. These are your guys. They played with your values. And I am certain we're going to win the league. And, you know, this is all on Mikel Arteta. I absolutely take my hat off to this guy. He has worked his process, worked his project to now the ultimate fruition. And I think he's been absolutely brilliant. And I was one of the doubters early on. First 2 seasons, we lost 13 league games each season. I was one of those thinking he's too young, it's too early for him, it's too big a job. And then I remember like early 2023 doing a whole apology in the Sun to Mikel. And from that moment on, for the next 3.5 years, I've absolutely bought in to what he's doing because I could see what he was doing. And I just think, Mikel Arteta, I want a statue, at least one statue of you. And I want a second statue of that idiotic Manchester City fan who did the bottle stunt because he must be feeling like the biggest mug in Britain right now.
Piers, I've got a question for you, mate. Fantastic Arsenal winning the...
Yeah, I mean, what about a public apology? What about just apologising to me?
Well,
and
Ben, before we get, I want to come in here.
What for?
I want to come in here as referee, if I may. As referee, Piers, I think it's only fair. I mean, 2 words I never thought I'd associate with Piers Morgan are humble and pie, right? But we've got that from you this morning with Mikel Arteta. So I think it's only fair. I give the floor to my man on my left-hand side, Gabby.
Arsenal fans, everyone out there supports Arsenal. I apologise for mocking the season. Calling you bottlers. Great team, great fans, great football club. I apologise.
Brilliant. Well done. Piers, I want to ask you, mate, you
where's
touched
that
on it.
utterly useless half-wit Ahara who must be, I mean, how must he be feeling? Because I kept saying to you guys, I kept saying we were going to win the quadruple, and you didn't really understand what I meant. Arsenal to win the Premier League and Champions League, right? Cristiano Ronaldo to win the Saudi League, which he's about to do, and Tottenham get relegated. It is my dream quadruple.
After 3 successive second-place finishes, Arteta's Arsenal are Premier League champions.
We've been waiting 22 years for this. It's unbelievable. The last time we won the Premier League, I was 9, and I've never seen it in real life. I'm so happy, honestly. We're waiting for years for this. Buzzy, come on! Come on!
I'm just so glad it is now. Now we can rest on Sunday. Champions League final. We know what's going to happen. Anything can happen.
Bournemouth's draw with Man City got Arsenal over the line and the Cherries into Europe for the very first time. The outgoing Antonio Raiola reflects on 3 successful years.
I'm very happy because we have the Europa League qualification that is big for this club, first time, and even the chance to fight until the end for the Champions League.
Meanwhile, Pep Guardiola will talk to Man City's chairman before making an announcement on his future. Roberto De Zerbi refused to talk about Spurs' late penalty shout during their 2-1 defeat at Chelsea. Spurs need a point at home to Everton on the final day to survive. And we're told Southampton boss Tonda Eckert faces a possible ban and a sack over Spygate. Saints are appealing the EFL's decision to kick them out of the Championship playoff final.
Wednesday lunchtime, Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy and Arsenal Invincible. Martin Keown in studio with us because after a 22-year wait, Arsenal are Premier League champions. We're coming to you live on talkSPORT with Selco. It's where the trade goes. Aston Villa take on Freiburg in the Europa League final tonight. It's live in talkSPORT. We will get to that. Who's going to hold their nerve, Spurs or West Ham? We will get to that. In the meantime, last night, as I said way back at the top of the show, I was down at Brighton last night, who were celebrating 125 years of their club being in existence, and the fact that they also celebrated their Player of the Year awards night last night. It was something that was pretty darn spectacular. A stage at the side of the pitch at the Amex, and the whole night was finished off in style by Fatboy Slim, who is an enormous Brighton fan. Now, on the night, I had a brief conversation with Brighton owner Tony Bloom, because as you remember, Tony Bloom pumped £10 million into Hearts and now has a serious affection and interest in Heart of Midlothian Football Club. And of course, we know what happened on Saturday. Hearts went to Celtic Park and it was winner takes all. Although Hearts could have afforded to draw the match, they didn't. They lost it by 3-1. But that was just part of the story. At the end of the game, a number of pitch invaders played their part in the event, unwelcome as they were, and goaded and taunted some of the Hearts players who were on the field of play. Certainly a huge number of Celtic fans inside Celtic Park were booing those who had gone on the field of play. And when he joined us on talkSPORT, Martin O'Neill, the Celtic manager, I put it to him, did that pitch invasion in any way taint the win and the achievement?
I totally disagree with that. There. I don't know about the confrontations in terms of the Hearts players, and there's a lot of hyperbole about that. Let us find out the real picture. The fact is that when we scored the third goal, the game was essentially over. There were about 8 seconds left, perhaps, in the game, or whatever the case may be. The referee has claimed that he has blown the whistle for the fight. Blowing the final whistle at the end of it. And then there's obvious excitement. We have scored to win the league.
Yeah, but they shouldn't come on the pitch, Martin, should they?
Which, now, yeah, we'll start telling that to every single football club, and then we'll all hold it.
But hang on a second, Martin. I mean, Hearts called it an embarrassment to Scottish football. Do you agree that it was?
As they might do. I don't believe that. I just don't believe it. I think it's nonsense.
That was Martin O'Neill earlier on in the week, and there was quite a reaction to Martin's comments. So last night I spoke to Tony Bloom, of course now a Hearts shareholder, having put £10 million into the football club, and he reflected on that post-match scene.
Anyone involved in Hearts, it was a devastating weekend. The last 10 days of the season, so much happened. However, we must look forward. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. The Hearts fans are absolutely fantastic, and we'll be back next season with a bang. We want to be competing to win the league every single season that we possibly can.
Did you feel for your players at the end, some intruders on the pitch, one or two of your players being confronted by some Celtic fans who went on celebrating their moment, but what was your take on it?
Well, the final whistle hadn't gone, so no supporters should be on the pitch. The Hearts players were in danger. One or two got assaulted. It's completely unacceptable behaviour. The authorities will be looking at it. I don't want to say anything more about that, but I just want to say how tremendous the players have been all season long, and they were absolutely on the floor, devastated like all of us. But we must come back stronger. For me, it's I really appreciate the fan sentiment, but it's all about the players on the pitch and the support they've given them all season. And when they travel in their many, many thousands to away games, it is truly amazing to see. And I really, really feel, obviously, for the players and everyone associated with Hearts, but in particular the fans who have been so supportive all season long.
That was Tony Bloom speaking to me last night down at the Amex at their Player of the Year Awards. Simon, it's a different version of events from Tony Bloom compared to what Martin was saying.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure that assaulted is the right word. They were certainly confronted by quite a number of Celtic fans who had gone on the pitch, but Tony is quite strong on it, and he doesn't want to be prejudicial in any investigation that's underway at the moment. But he said his bit, and he says Hearts will be back and they'll be stronger for it.
And I think Scottish football was better for having a more competitive league. It's not an anti-Celtic or an anti-Rangers regime to want other teams to be successful. I think it's good for Scottish football. And I think Scottish football being successful is a breeding ground for good players. This generation of Scottish players that were in the past that produced the Souness's, the Hansons, the Dalgleish, and whoever else we can think of, the Archie Gemmels, whoever else we can think of, Joe Jordan, that were top players.
John Robertson, your favourite
John Robertson,
player.
of course.
Yeah.
We've seen that as a dearth now. So, Tony being involved, obviously from a point of view of being the Brighton owner, it would have been nice for him to actually see something being won. So I'm disappointed that Hearts didn't win something, because obviously owning Brighton, he doesn't get to win very much. But
unfair.
In this instance, I think he's a very clear thinker.
Yeah.
Him and Matthew Benham are very clear thinkers, are very diligent in what they do, which is why the criticism of the Brentford appointment was wrong, because he knew what he was doing. And it's not by chance, it's not by coincidence that Brighton run their club the way that they do. They buy players well, they sell players well, they recruit managers well, they perform high, way above their grade in terms of economics, and that is because people have clear visions.
And building a stadium just for the women.
Yeah.
I mean, phenomenal.
But we also know, with respect to that women's football potentially is the next opportunity waiting to pop. We've seen Chelsea, for whatever motivations they may have, selling their own team for 250 million quid. We've seen Aston Villa do the same thing. We've seen Angel City in America become a very valuable proposition. So we know women's football. So from a commercial standpoint, alongside a vision statement.
Simon, is there a little bit of genius with Tony Bloom?
Yeah.
The way that he...
Clear thinking.
Obviously, based on figures. He has an analytical company that he brings in alongside that. By the way, he has to sell quite a lot of players to fund that every year. Seems to be a massive turnover of Brighton sales.
We all sell players. We say how much you sell them for.
Yeah.
I mean, he sells them at the top of the game. But what it is a professionalisation of the industry, looking at why you buy players, making sure that when you buy a player or you recruit a manager, you leave as few stones unturned as you possibly can. You do it properly. You don't do it on the back of a fag packet. You'll get some things wrong. But if you've got... I mean, it isn't just Brighton that do this. People are picking up on it. But there's a needs must. And when you've got a needs must mentality, people like Bloom will step in there and go, well, the needs must is we can't do what others can do. We can't punch the way that Chelsea can punch or Liverpool can punch or Arsenal can punch because we don't have the bandwidth. And the game is constructed against us with PSR, so we can't. So what do we do better? We do better by being better at the disciplines that underpin what is the biggest asset, which is players.
And he's done your beloved Scottish Premier League a favour because he's made it very interesting this year. I mean, look, could it have been more interesting? You know, right to the last game. And Motherwell now as well, doing things.
Yeah.
So, I think it's been a really good thing for Scottish football. It's a shame they didn't pull that off. Really.
When we come back, the other side of this break, we will ask the question, who will hold their nerve, Spurs or West Ham? And we'll touch on Aston Villa, another of this man Keown's former clubs. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
Is this the most significant departure, you think, managerial departure in Premier League history? I mean, there are a few big
No,
ones.
not really.
No?
I think it's the most significant departure for Manchester City. But I think in all the clubs, I think the Klopp impact upon Liverpool was remarkable in terms of galvanising the club back to its fans, back to the levels of achievement, to a brand of football that ignited and excited most people. And Klopp walked out and decided that he'd had enough and left Arne Slot with a wonderful squad that are able to win the Premier League next year, or the following year, sorry. You've seen Ferguson leave, after 26 years. I don't think his legacy, I think his achievements are remarkable, but I think the squad that he left, it does not compare to the squad that Klopp left Liverpool and does not compare to the squad that Guardiola is leaving Maresca. And Maresca is indeed a lucky boy. He wouldn't be in this job if he hadn't been in the building previously. I think probably all the lessons that he will have learned at Chelsea will be taken into the Man City job. And so his experiences, his maturity of being able to manage up might be slightly better now. But he's in a wonderful, blessed position that they are built. You know, the last 2 years of a year of decline and a year of rebuilding have all culminated in the fact that they've done a double this year. I mean, I can't think of a more boring FA Cup final for some time, but notwithstanding it, they still won it. Right? And they've done a double this year. They won't do the treble. Arsenal will win the league, but notwithstanding that they'll finish second, they'll have won 2 cups, and Maresca will walk into a group of players that are highly focused, highly motivated, and his opportunity is to prove the fact that he can continue. And I always believe, and I said at the top of this show, that you judge a business when the people that own it are not in it. So you judge a football club by the legacy of the person that's been running it for a period of time. Klopp's legacy was to hand it over for a year to Arne Slot, who effectively just finessed it and won the league. Now the image of Liverpool is now Slot's, and it's not so great. Ferguson left a decaying squad. With due respect to Alex Ferguson, I'm not trying to diminish him in any shape or form. And that then created the problems that have then spiralled out of control for Man United over a 13-year period. So we'll see if Manchester City continue. I suspect they will. I suspect Maresca, I mean, the principles behind Maresca was, you know, it's an open secret. He was discussing going to Manchester City with the Chelsea management, which is probably why there was a lot of angst and irritation between the two parties.
Not wig.
It's a nutty canister, either way. I mean, look at the nut on it.
Bob Odenkirk!
Salah was great. He was just a breath of fresh air.
Amelia Clark! Star Wars versus Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, definitely. I'm loyal.
Don't help Alex Hassel!
In season 2, a lot of us get our clothes off.
You do know you did that in season 1.
Exactly, that's true, yes.
time of celebration for Arsenal fans worldwide, and Arsenal invincible Martin Keown has jetted in to join us here live on the show this Wednesday lunchtime. After a 22-year wait, Arsenal are Premier League champions. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco. It's where the trade goes. Simon and Danny alongside me, of course, this Wednesday lunchtime. So Arsenal up there at the very top, the summit of the Premier League, and they have won it. Down at the bottom, a bit of pressure, is there not, on Spurs and West Ham. Spurs on 38 points, West Ham on 36 going into the final day. Spurs once again beaten at Chelsea and missed the chance to grab a point which would have kept them up. Now big pressure on them, both of them, on the final day. West Ham leads, Spurs, Everton. Danny, who will hold their nerve, do you think? Spurs or West Ham?
I think it's a 50-50. I think it'll be a tiny margin on the day. A lot will depend on Tottenham's start to the game. I think if they were to go a goal down, the nerves would get... One of Tottenham's biggest problems has been creativity, chances. They can't score goals.
They were better last night when Maddison came on.
Maddison is a question mark. I mean, whether he's able to start the game and really if he could last 45 or 60, because he's the one that can unlock. And if they score first, they're going to get the fans on board. And it's a really difficult one because playing in a game, I'm sure Martin's done it as well, where you know a draw is enough. Subconsciously, you're protecting as soon as you go on the pitch. And you need a strong manager to give you the freedom to go, no, come on, you got to go and try and win this game and put it to bed. I think West Ham will beat Leeds. I think they've got enough on a one-off with the fans behind them. And in a way, they're under less pressure because it's out of their hands.
And the stats tell us that Spurs won't beat Everton.
Well, they've won two
because
games.
they've only won twice in the league at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Burnley opening day and Brentford. Horrendous record, the worst in their history, isn't it?
They don't like playing at home, Simon. They don't get results at home.
The Tottenham fans will get behind them, though.
They don't get results anywhere, really, do they? Besides two fortuitous outcomes
and
against
Everton,
Midland sides that were poor.
Everton
you were there last night. What did you witness in Spurs?
They're just poor. I mean, they made a fist of it for the last 20 minutes, but they were just poor. I mean, poor decision-making. I mean, to be fair, they had a chance that hit the post that really Tell should have buried.
And the one Maddison late on when
and Maddison,
he dwelled on it,
They were 2-0 up at that point. And Chelsea weren't great either. But Spurs were poor. And you look at it and you see, well, my belief is Spurs will stay up. I've always tipped West Ham to go down, not because I want them to go down, but I think that in my mind's eye they were always going to go down. And I think Spurs will just about have enough, one way or t'other, whether it's a lack of engagement from Everton or whether it's the fans dragging them across the line, one way or t'other, I think they'll get across the line on the weekend. But I'm not sure, but having seen West Ham against Newcastle and seeing how poor they were against Newcastle, that despite the resurgence of West Ham, where they've been very competitive in games and unlucky to lose to Arsenal, I think West Ham won't beat Leeds.
They've lost the last three, West Ham.
Little fall off.
I mean, Martin, in the season that your beloved Arsenal have won it, would you love it to be the same season that Tottenham Hotspur are relegated?
No, I don't get any value in that at all. I think really what Spurs need to do is take a leaf out of the Arsenal book in that the unity of the stadium in their last match. Every single Spurs fan that turns up, don't come there to whinge and moan. A lot of the teams in the north of the country, I think, get behind their team and they stay there. Down south, we give up on people. And
They've been better the last couple of games, haven't they?
It's in Spurs' hands.
It is.
They're 2 points clear. Go and win the game. Just get behind your team. Don't be moaning and groaning all the time and just be, save yourself. You've got a chance to save your Premier League status.
The fans will do that. But by the same token, let's have it right. 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had Emmanuel Petit in here and other people saying that the Arsenal fans need to not be nervous, they need to be behind the team and support the team because there was nervousness creeping in. The Spurs fans will be behind their team.
Well, they have
if Everton score, the nervousness will creep in, and that's human nature. That's not negativity.
I mean, Danny, if we can talk on this, Danny, you were with Fulham, who stayed up with your goal on the last day of the season against Portsmouth. So what is that atmosphere like in that dressing room?
You were down at half-time,
like that?
You 2-0 down?
That was a couple of weeks before.
2-0 down in the game was over, wasn't it?
That was at Man City. We were down at 1 point, 2 games before the end of the season.
So this against Portsmouth, and you scored.
Yeah, I think the difference was we had a very clear way of playing under Roy at that point, and we weren't changing because of the importance of the day. Pompey had a good side out. They were playing in the cup final a week after. We thought they were going to rest a few, and they didn't. And when we saw the team sheet with Defoe and all, I was like, oh my God. But we were away from home, so the pressure was a little bit more off us. And I think, to be fair, in all honesty, the pressure of playing for Tottenham, because I've played for Tottenham, is much greater than playing for Fulham. The devastation of Tottenham going down, or the enormity of that story, and the whole pressure on the players and the club is greater than it was for Fulham.
It's interesting. I mean, I had, as an owner, had a similar situation because we got relegated in the last game of the season.
Oh, I was part of that one as well.
You were part of that one. You sent us down.
You've been everywhere, mate.
Against Charlton, who had nothing to play for, but decided that the one thing they wanted to do was relegate Crystal Palace. And so
Can I tell you quick? Was Dowie the manager?
Yes, he was. Yeah.
I've told you a story before, but I'll tell it again just quickly. He stupidly left a little dossier of instructions for his players and give a little.
No, he left that on his lap. That's why he got done for fraud.
We found it. And it was basically negative.
Spying, Danny?
No, it was basically negative about most of the players, apart from me, actually, which I was quite smiling about. But it gave the lads a G up.
Right.
Honestly, give the lads, because some of the lads were fuming.
Who goes down, Tottenham or West Ham?
The easy answer is West Ham, isn't it? But I think something's going to happen, Jim.
Yeah. I want Tottenham to stay up, but I've got a bad feeling they're going to go.
You got a bad feeling? You want to throw your hat in the ring?
I mean, listen. If I'm being honest, I'd like to see Tottenham get relegated because I think it'd be quite funny for the incumbent ownership to have some medicine.
I didn't think you.
On the flip side of it,
Martin, you've come in to especially join us. Have the Freiburg.
I sincerely hope they win that as well.
Go
I've
on.
done a lot of the Villa games this season away from home in the Europa League, and it's been a good journey reconnecting with Villa. The manager, I think, has done an amazing job. What is he? Is it 5 of these he's won Europa Leagues? It's his trophy, isn't it? Any team with a Villa.
Yeah, this will be 6th Europa League trophy.
Just getting back to the West Ham and Spurs affair, I wonder if Moyes does the ultimate for his former club West Ham in beating Spurs, and that they go and do the job for themselves.
Could do
against Leeds. You could suddenly see. I wouldn't be surprised if ultimately that happened.
And do Villa win tonight?
Oh yeah, I see Villa comfortably winning tonight. The experience of the manager, the form the team are in, just starting to purr now. Aston Villa.
I agree.
Villa.
Just on a cynical point, do you think Moyes might feel like he got a little bit treated badly at West Ham and actually not mind?
That's not him. That's not him as a man. No? He wants the best for his club.
No, we all say the right thing.
Only one thing to finish on today. With you, Arsenal invincible, Martin Keown. In a sentence or two, what does this achievement mean?
Oh, it's Jim. It's been a mission this year. Battling with you and Simon, and okay, it's been fair comment at times. Other times, maybe it's got. We've got the chemistry's been maintained, respect for one another,
very much,
and ultimately, Arsenal have got what they deserve this season, and that's to be Premier League champions. And I started to wonder if I'd ever see it again in my lifetime. And it was great to see this group of players enjoying what we formerly enjoyed. But they've got another thing bigger than that to go and win the Champions League. Don't rest on your laurels for too long. Get out there and win another trophy.
You going, mine?
I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm there with TNT working for them. It's been an honour, and I've been fortunate to be there for every game pretty well this season. So going to go there to enjoy it, but you go there to win. Go there to win. And I was a part of the coaching staff in 2006. So I was at the last one, and when they didn't make it, it was kind of a major blow. And if they don't make it this time, it's still a major stepping stone. Arsenal at the beginning of something special, Jim. I hope to see them back again in these Champions Leagues, but you never know.
Yeah.
It's been 20 years since the last one, so make this one count.
I was there in Paris, and I remember the Arsenal fans' heads were down. This time you never know, as you rightly say. Danny, brilliant as always, mate. Thank you so much. Mr. Jordan, good to see you. Manana at 10. Martin Keown,
thank you.
Thanks for coming in on this mercy mission.
Congrats.
To the studio on the 17th floor of the News Building here at London Bridge, where the time is 1 o'clock.
Let's talk about the big breaking news that broke last night. It's been something that everyone's been speaking about for the last 12 months, and that's that Pep Guardiola is set to leave Man City after 10 years at the job. Let's bring in our chief football correspondent, Ags Crook, to kind of open or shed a bit more light on this. Crookie, obviously, look, this is massive, massive news. It isn't a surprise as it is. We knew about it, but we didn't know when this was going to happen. Give us a bit more on it.
Yeah, I think it's the worst kept secret in football, has been for several weeks, if not months.